Good evening, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, you want to move the mic? I can do it. I can reach you, Mr. Chair.
Facing you. Straight.
Yeah.
The little red light was on.
What kind of microphone do you want?
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. For our work session tonight, first on the agenda is the annual review, revision of policies, first reading, and I think, is that Dr. Park or is that Chauncey?
First one is,
Family life education.
Yes, or Mr. Blank can come up.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to take it.
You can take it.
hello. Hello, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day today.
Very.
You want to start with the first one, family life?
Start with family life curriculum. The only change requested on this one was changing the month that we did the hearing, the public hearing. We won't have it in February because we think the closer we have it to when we're actually implementing the curriculum, the fresher it's going to be on the parent's mind, it's going to be more relevant. So the original policy, and I think this was just a canned policy, said September, but since we don't teach it till after state testing, we wanted to change that month to February.
And we had it this.
We did.
Yeah, okay,
We
okay.
did.
Okay. Any other questions on this policy?
No,
Pretty straightforward.
Yep. Okay. Next is grading revision.
Okay, so the revisions, and this policy wasn't on the calendar to be reviewed at this time. We just knew we needed to get some things settled before school started. So the teachers and principals had requested to have a standards-based report card for first grade. And so the policy reflects changing the statement where we just previously had a kindergarten standards-based report card. Now we're going to move having a kindergarten and first grade standards-based report card. We have a committee right now that's working through that process of teachers in the district and principals that are working through making sure to have the design, the layout, what's best for parents, and going to get parent feedback on that as well. So that's one of the changes on the grading system K-5. And then you'll see just a few changes where it said grades 1 through 5. We just modified that to grades 2 through 5 because those will go through the regular grading scale. And then on the second piece, the grading system for grades 6 through 12, we had a request from the high school to look at removing the conduct grade for the high school, and the middle school wanted to request it. The reason behind removing it for the high school is they don't keep a log on a daily of student conduct, and so they're just assigning a grade, and it's not a true measure of what the student's conduct is. And so they said if we have any issues, we contact parents or we go through the proper channels. So we've adjusted this policy to where it does not say in all schools students get a conduct grade, just grades 6 through 8. But then also you'll see some of the things we changed to where it says a new card is issued to the student. We changed that to report because as we move to Skyward, they have the option to have the paperless grading reports. And so we wanted to make sure our policy did not tie us to one or the other.
I have a question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I had a question about, you have the heading changed, but not the information underneath the heading. Does that need to be changed as well? So it says the kindergarten and first grade report cards.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so that will be changed as well?
That
All
will be
right.
changed.
And then number 2 under grades 2 through 5 on the first page, where it says except for first grade science and social studies.
So we need to change that one as well. Thank you. You're welcome. Through people reviewing this.
And what was the reason, why did they want kindergarten and first grade together, just on the
Just
report?
for standards-based, so
Okay.
that the teachers, the parents can see where the students are in mastering those skills, because those are such basic skills that they build off on as they move forward.
Okay.
And it was something that was expressed last year, and this year we polled everybody again and got the feedback from all of the teachers in the district, first grade. And they've even said they want to look at it to move towards second grade, but we're going to hold off and see how we're going to gradually move, just to show true mastery of the skills.
And then one more question. I know that Bartlett is in the process of changing and doing two transcripts. Have you talked to them, or do you have any feedback?
Yes, we've talked to Bartlett, we've talked to other districts across the state, and we've gone in and talked to our high school teachers, because if you look at doing the two different grading systems, one where you have a 10-point grading scale and the other is the uniform grading scale from the state of Tennessee, it really does not become a factor for the lower grades. It really becomes a factor in high school when you're looking at financial assistance. And so that's something that obviously we're not going to implement by next year, because when we're just moving into Skyward, it's something we have to set up where you could have a transcript that reported one way and then a transcript that reported another for the students. But we are reaching out to districts across the state where it's going to be one of those focus areas where we get
Some information before you come to us.
and want
Okay.
to discuss it with all stakeholders before we
Great.
jump into something like that, but we want to look at it. And again, the biggest change is going to be for those high school students and the
Right.
counselors at the high school level.
Well, and the key there is that it would have to be two, because the
Mhm.
state mandates the
Right.
current three we have, okay, just as it is an additional layer.
Right.
Right.
It is,
okay.
and it's also a situation where it would be a bit confusing.
Yeah.
So if you get a transcript for one purpose and then you compare it to the other transcript,
Right.
one's going to be higher than the
Yeah.
other. And so that's
Yeah.
also a piece to consider.
Sure.
It would be interesting to see how it goes with Bartlett for a year or so
Mhm.
before we move
Right.
forward to ask them what their challenges were and,
Mhm.
and how they felt it was successful or not.
Right. Just
Before
let
we-
them try it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Never
Let
heard.
them be our, let them be our experiment.
That's right, that's
Yes.
right.
Thank you for checking into it.
Mhm.
Any other questions on 4.6?
Yes, I had a question here. This is just more of just a question, where we have the, like on page 3, number 2, where it talks about what homework assignments are worth and how many grades you have to have. Do we review that? I mean, is there
We
a?
do.
Wow,
We
okay,
do.
okay.
And there have been issues where parents have complained because they've gotten interims home and they don't have but 3 report cards, and we need to make sure that they have a true picture
Right.
by the middle of that 9 weeks. And then also for the 9-week period to have that minimum number of grades, because we need to make sure that students are being assessed at least once
Sure.
a week to see where they are, so that if you do have a child that's failing or close to failing,
Mhm.
a parent can be informed of that,
Right.
whether it's through interims or just log in the computer to see the grades, because then you still have time to provide
Right,
remediation.
to be able to get something.
And then another situation has previously happened where if we've gone in and a student is, we're looking at them for graduation, but they don't have that minimum number of grades, and then they're on the edge of whether they can
Right.
graduate or not, then
Hmm.
that's a problem. So we
Sure,
want to make sure
sure.
that, so we do have people at the schools that are monitoring
Wow,
the number of grades.
Okay. And then the last question I had is on that same page, the number 5. I'm just trying to make sure I understand the wording. So if you are taking a course in middle school that is a high school course, it won't be reflected in your grade point average? Did I read that
Correct.
correctly? So like if somebody's taking an algebra or in 8th grade, then it won't
Right,
count
it doesn't
either
count
way, for a
towards
credit or for a grade
It's
point
an
average?
elective, which is.
Okay,
what-
okay.
It doesn't count towards your GPA.
Okay, okay.
Any other questions for Dr. Park? Next is the 4.7 testing program revision.
So, on this policy, what we needed to do to go back with recent legislation is to make sure that we have the statement in there that for grades 3 through 8, students will have a grade based on the TCAP scores if they come in within 5 days before the end, 5 instructional days before the end of the school year. So it's set up the same way as what we revised this policy earlier in the year to reflect for the EOC for the high school. The state has those 5 instructional days prior to the end of the school year to give us our raw score, our raw data. So also a piece of that, which you'll see reflected in here, is we had to add the methodology used to calculate the student scores. The state originally suggested 2 different methods. They suggested the cube root method and then the target methodology. So you'll see a revision requested is for us to state which methodology we used, and we've gone with the target methodology. We met with a focus group of the other municipal districts several times throughout this second semester to sit and look at what's reflected on student transcripts, which methodology would work with each student group, each assessment. Went through several different trials looking at just different students across the different municipal districts, just to get a true picture, not just of our students, but how it would affect others. And the most beneficial methodology where it gives us the most flexibility and doesn't hurt our students is the target methodology. And so that's the one that we're choosing to go with. And so you'll see that statement is added in your testing programs policy. So those are the two things, adding the target methodology and then adding the student scores on the TCAP grades 3 through 8 to count 10% if they are received within 5 instructional days.
Do you think we're going to
I
get
was
it?
just about to say.
That's a good question.
Great question.
We'll know next week.
So they say.
What are they saying? When do
They're
you think?
saying right now, the commissioner has said that they expect them to be released around May 22nd, which is when we are supposed to have them, but they can't release the raw scores until every student is claimed in the system. Well, ours aren't even showing up yet for us to go through the process to claim all of our students. So we hope maybe like it's going to be a miracle that they all fit in and we can have all of that, but we are prepared in case it does not happen.
Well, but 22nd would mean that we could,
We could, but anytime after the 22nd, we could not.
okay.
So that if they get it to us the 22nd, then that's when we have to get a conversion table for every subject area so that the teachers will know these are the raw scores of our students, this is the grade to input in the
Wow.
grade book,
Dr. Clark.
and do all that 5 days prior to the end of school. So
Oh, my word.
we'll see.
Well,
Any other questions on 4.7?
no, thank you for that.
Thank you.
You know, I when I went through, I had maybe, and I don't know when, if it's okay, I read through all the other things that went through, and I just had a couple of questions. So I don't know if it's better to ask them as they're up, as Dr. Parks is up here, or we should just wait until we've gone through all the other policies.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
And there's a summer school policy.
Mhm.
Do we have summer school? Do
Yes,
we?
we
Yes,
do.
we
Okay,
do.
okay. Is that only at the high school, or is that at every level?
That's at the high school.
At high school. okay.
Now we have ESY,
Yeah,
which is for
ESY.
special needs students
Okay,
in the summer.
okay, okay. That might have been it.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Park.
Thank you.
Revision of policy 2.4, revenues, gifts, and bequests. What does that fall under?
That would be, yes, it would be Kevin, but I'll talk, Mr. Jones, sorry, but I'll be glad to talk about it. One of the issues that we have is we think that we have a threshold that is set too low and is really not appropriate for what's happening in our schools. The example that I'll give is what's happening with our PTA groups. The process that should happen is the PTA presidents or board should get together with the administration in the summer and talk about what are they going to fundraise for, set some objectives, set some goals. And then once they do that, then at the end of their fundraiser, their campaign period, they should make that donation to the school. That's a regular occurrence that we have not been presenting to the board. We also have lots of booster clubs that are fundraising for the band, for the football team, that aren't going through this process. And so we need to give that authority to the administration for a certain threshold. Otherwise, we're going to be approving all of these donations all the time. And we need to rely on our administration to do that.
Sure.
So we're just changing the threshold from 5,000 to 50,000. That's a more acceptable number if you think about what a typical PTA could or would raise in a fundraiser. That's probably going to be over what most PTAs are going to do and what most booster clubs are doing. But it would also give the board authority that if there is a big fundraiser, they get to determine, is this something that they're willing to accept? And so that's the request, is to really change that amount of funding.
So it's changing, its principal approves up to 5,000, 5,000 to 4999 is
That's
up to
right.
the
So the
superintendent.
administration,
And then 50,000 comes to the board.
that's correct.
And is there a distinction between the board versus the district when payments are made, or when, like it says rental payment shall be paid directly to the board?
They mean the district.
Okay.
The board's not a.
That's what, okay,
Yes.
I just didn't know if that was something, and then.
A lot of times you'll see in the TSBA policies, they use those terms interchangeably, where they're
Okay.
talking about central office
Kinda like director of
administration
schools
versus the school board
Okay.
themselves.
Any other questions on this policy?
I think it was a wise move.
Yes, very wise.
Okay. Move on next to resolution for approval of donations.
So in accordance with this policy, because we do have our organizations that are switching from PTAs to PTOs, what we are seeing is large donations that are being turned over to the schools. And so we're asking for the board to approve those donations and accept those donations to the schools so that we can follow current policy.
And also in that resolution is, I believe, the GMSD, the 5K race.
That's
too.
correct. So it has several items in the, so if you look at the list, you've got 23,000 from the Germantown Education Foundation, which was incredible.
Very much so.
You have 16,000 from Houston Middle School's PTA that's being turned over. You have 43,000 from Farmington Elementary's PTA, and you have 30,000 from Riverdale's PTA turned over to the school books. So those would be the requests for you to approve.
Do you know what they're using for, this is for technology?
Yeah.
Yes,
What is it?
so they're looking at laptop cards. They have a list of technology items that that's in accordance with Mr. Pierce's
Okay.
guidelines for
Okay.
devices.
That works.
That's fine, that's, I was just curious
Yeah.
what they were purchasing. Okay, any other questions on the donations to approve tonight?
No.
Next is for the resolution for distribution of funds to school support organizations. I think there's 4 as of now, and you can see them on your,
Yes.
on your e-meeting. I will tell you, we're down to what, $6,910. And so when you look at it, we have, the Riverdale Cheer Boosters are asking for $6,000 for mats. And anybody correct me, because I'm just doing this from memory.
Sure.
Orchestra Boosters are wanting to do 2 carts to store their instruments.
2,500.
And, yeah, 2,300 plus shipping.
Yeah,
So, but
2,315.
2,300 for the carts.
Yeah.
And then also we had Houston High School, or Houston Middle School Band was actually, I think they were wanting 2 different asks. One to cover GPAC expenses, as well as the other one was, just looking.
8 different performances and events, including the
Grizzly
National Anthem,
Games.
the Grizzly Games, and the University of Memphis.
And to cover all their expenses. So
All
they
less convention.
they had 2 asks. One was 2,402 and one was 2,654.
And that cost, the one for the events was for the substitute teacher fees
Yeah.
and for the transportation cost.
And then our last one is Houston High School Cheer, and they had $2,600, which I think was covering some sponsors, again,
Yes.
to attend some of their events
Yeah.
and, their expenses. So we have the 6,910 left. So I don't know how, if you want to, options are divide it by 4. Options are, if you think one is more deserving,
Sure.
then mention, bring that forward. So I don't know what everybody's feeling, if they think one is more deserving to cover it in full and less for another group. Does
Can I
anybody
ask
have
the
any?
superintendent to refresh our memories? You did a good job at the last meeting where you talked about kind of the changes of how y'all were gonna handle substitute teacher fees and what y'all, just so we have a feel for, but there were some things that were gonna be covered this year through that, but then ongoing next year. I can't
So one of the
remember.
things that we took on from the Houston High School's accounts was the fees for Ortho
Yes,
1.
yes.
So we were paying half of that, it was 12,000. We took on the whole amount, which is 24,000 and some change.
Yeah.
Because of that, our expectation and conversation we're having with the school is that the school, out of that account, will pay for the substitute fees. So that cost is not passed on to the parents or the booster clubs to pay that going forward
For the high school.
for the high school.
And what about the middle school? Is that anything that's covered from a middle school perspective, or does that happen at the middle school?
That's one of the things that we've also talked about. I don't think it was the same because you don't have the same number of teams that are going, nor school-sponsored activities. So we looked at, if it's in athletics, that they have a very small account. If you think about revenue or gate for the basketball games, that's
Right.
very small.
Right.
So they can pay for the administrative fees out of that.
So the,
So if they're going to send an administrator with the POM or cheer to nationals, that the schools would pay that cost.
so
This
is
is
that,
starting next year.
That would be starting next year.
okay, so that's not something that we can look back, that's it going forward, that's our
That's
policy
correct.
going forward, or
July 1.
procedure going forward, okay. So just something to think about, that even if we don't have a lot of money to cover what happened this year going forward, that would be covered for
There'll
some
be
of these,
savings next year.
yeah, some of these fees would be covered, so that's at least a plus if we can't cover all of it.
Yeah, they're asking for reimbursement for this past year.
Right.
But yes. So again, Riverdale Cheer Boosters was $6,000 for math, which we know we can't cover all that. Yes, Ms. Parker?
I have an idea.
What is your idea?
I don't think one is any more deserving than the other. I think in the respect of the early bird gets the worm, Riverdale Cheer Boosters sent theirs in. They still have some fundraising to do. So if we could pay half, $3,000 to Riverdale Cheer, and then the Riverdale Orchestra Group asked for $2,500.
$23.15.
$23.15 for their storage. And then you've got a remainder of about $710 apiece to go to the other two. So that's my suggestion.
So say that he had 3,000, you're suggesting 3,000 for Riverdale Cheer.
And then what Riverdale Orchestra asked for their storage racks.
Was 2,500.
Let the district cover the cost. We will purchase those storage racks out of district fees.
Okay.
That is something that we'll look at doing, so.
Okay, that'd be
Let
great.
us
So,
take-
Very nice.
so it will be done?
But yes, let us take that out of the
As a
district.
part of the new, good.
All
Thank
right,
you for
so
that.
that's minus 3,000.
And then we have
I
Houston.
just spent
We
your
have
money, Mary.
39,1040.
Wait a minute.
You know how we have the district-owned cellos and
1950
devices we have?
1955. Yes, ma'am.
They need something to put those in and store them in.
They're resting on the floor right now, so the risk is that kids
So
will
that is,
step on them.
that is something that should be covered by district.
So Riverdale Orchestra will be covered by the district.
So then it'd be 1955 for the cheer boosters and 1955 for the band boosters, and we're out of money.
I like that.
Anybody have another plan?
I think that's an
I think that's
excellent
an
plan.
excellent
Oh. Oh.
plan.
Uh,
Okay, so I
want
want
to go back over this amount again.
Okay.
Cover the amount again.
So we're going to do
write it down so you can read.
Yeah,
3,000 for Riverdale School cheer boosters. The orchestra boosters are covered
By the
by the
district.
district.
Mhm.
1955 and change, I think, for Houston High cheer boosters, and 1955 and change for Houston Middle band boosters.
1955-21. Thank
21.
you.
Ms. Vajay will put it in e-meeting, so you'll have it for the board
Okay.
meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on that? That should use up the rest of that funding.
We're done.
We're done. We're done with that.
We're broke.
Never again.
Let's see.
Not in the next budget.
Not in the next budget.
Let's see, Houston High Football Booster Club asked if they could go at the end.
Okay.
But they are actually
Are they
here, I
here?
believe. Are y'all ready to present, Coach Hutchins?
Oh, okay. Then go ahead and come on up.
I hope. But I think when you get it in, I should care for some, because we can let one of them do that.
You want to give a penny to one of them because it's 43 cents?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll
Yes,
balance
you
it
can
out.
balance it
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
You can pick
Whichever you
whatever you want.
I will choose the
Pick your
one
favorite.
thing.
You pick your favorite, Mr. J. We'll let you do that.
We'll flip a penny.
Mr. Manuel, do you have a preference on where we stand? Should we stand on this side
no,
so
well,
everybody
actually-
can look at the PowerPoint? or-
Yeah.
Plus it's mine.
There's a microphone
There's
over
a
here,
mic over
if you want to go
We're
over
kind of
here.
all out.
Yes, we need to record it.
Are we ready to go? Hello, just making sure we got an audio check. Awfully tall. Well, hey, thank you, Mr. Manuel, board. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to. Nice and tall. How about that? Well, thank you for the opportunity to present to you today a project, a vision, one born a little bit out of necessity. My name is Kerry Franklin. I'm the current president of the H Club, the Football Booster Club. I've got 3 children in the district. My son Kip is a sophomore at the high school, plays football, wrestling, does some other things. My middle son, or my middle child, RH, is at the middle school. He also plays football, plays baseball. And my daughter, Mary Noble, who's 9, she's at Farmington in all kinds of activities and sports. I've been a part of the Germantown community for obviously a long time, very active in sports, other organizations and clubs, GFL, GBL, definitely sports in this community really speak to my heart. So again, thank you for the opportunity to present. Once the last football season ended, we got together with Coach Hudgens and asked him, what is it you really need to build your program? What is it going to take to be successful, to make this, program, for decades to come, one of excellence? And the two things that he said were two things. Foremost, a locker room and a weight room. So hopefully with this presentation, we can show you, a project, a vision that we have to not only meet the needs of the football program, but Houston athletics. So when this project was born, we formed a committee, when several members are actually here tonight, and they'll go ahead and introduce themselves as they do their presentation. And our head of our committee is Mike Perry.
Thank you, Kerry. Mr. Manuel, members of the board, thanks for allowing us to be here tonight. As Kerry mentioned, our goal is to answer the question, why are we all here? Well, we're here tonight not just as a bunch of football boosters, but athletic parents and parents of kids in our whole district. And what we want to do is we want to put together a vision, share with you what that vision is, and set some goals and parameters and a structure on how to get there tonight. And we believe that through the semblance of our committee and our meetings that we're going to be able to show you what that comprehensive vision is going to be. As we all know, it's about competition. We wake up every day in this room and we're fighting life, and life is our competition. Our teachers at the high school with our kids are teaching them the lessons that they're going to need on that journey in life. But more importantly, what we don't recognize is we don't recognize the competition that's right in our backyard. Our area school districts that are targeting our kids, the private schools that are going after our most valued resource. Our most valued resources are the great families and the kids that we have in our district. So it's about community. Mr. Stiegel is going to talk to you in a couple minutes about the value of our community, sealing our borders, and rallying around our high school, the #1 high school in Shelby County and one of the top high schools in the entire state. So let me ask you, why are student athletes deciding that they need to go to a competitor high school? Why do they have to go to a private school or a non-district school to either be an athlete or thinking that they might have a better education? We need to do a better job of telling that story, and we're going to show you some ways that we feel like through this project we're going to be able to deliver that message to our citizens and our community. So what does success look like? Well, we can look at our athletic program and say that we have 35 team state championships. We've been the best in preps for 18 consecutive years, and we can go on and on and on with our accolades. So I know what you're thinking. Why do we need a field house? Our athletic program looks like it's in pretty darn good shape because we're the epitome of what success is. And I would say that Coach Becker and his coaches have done a phenomenal job at the high school of working with our student athletes and training them to be successful. But I'll also put out there and say to you that they are definitely coaching up with limited resources from performance training and facility enhancement. So when we talk about why do we need facility enhancement, it's about getting bigger, stronger, and faster. We're competing. Our kids have the skill and they have the athletic ability, but what we're seeing across the state, because our goal is to win state championships. It's not just to be competitive, because that's not what life is. Life is not just about being competitive. It's about winning, whether we realize that or not. We want to win every day that we're out there competing. So getting bigger, stronger, and faster, the kids that we're competing against are outmatching us. They're bigger, they're stronger, and they're faster. Our current facilities are built in 1989. They're undersized and cramped right now. We have 60 kids that are working out for football. Track has about that same number. Basketball has 30 to 40 kids, in a cramped space. So let me ask you, how many here on our board have walked into the weight rooms and the locker rooms at the high school to check the facilities out? Okay, great. I think it's important that we understand what we're working with so we can see the vision of where we need to go. And we're not trying to say that our baby's bad right now. What we're trying to say is there's an opportunity for improvement for us to win and win in the community. So high schools of similar size here in Shelby County, they have larger facilities than us. We have a school that's red and white and silver just down the street from us that had a facility built during and around the same time we did, and it's nicer than the facility that we have today. We all know that Collierville's building a $112 million state-of-the-art school athletic facility just in our neighboring town. The opportunity to be competitive with what's around us is now. We believe that that has to happen now. The athletic facilities, we believe, are vital to our community pride. When I think of Houston High School and I look at what's there as a dad now, and soon to be my daughter coming up there, Houston High School is the crown jewel in our portfolio. Everything that we do should support what that crown jewel looks like. From our elementary schools to our middle schools, everybody should want to be a Mustang. And again, sealing our borders and having that sense of pride and that passion in what we're trying to accomplish. Our competition for student athletes, as I mentioned, it's really competitive. Our facilities show the families in our community that we're committed, that we're moving forward. Our alumni, one of the most untapped resources that we have in our community are our alumni and in the area. We started several months ago with an alumni reach out program saying, hey, we want to start a movement. We want you to get re-engaged with our school. Much like many of the private schools do with their alumni associations, we want you plugged in. We want you to help us be able to tell our story in the community. I want to introduce two gentlemen that are here tonight. One was a graduate in 1996, played football, was also a track athlete, got a full scholarship to Purdue University. And again, Purdue University is not one of the easier academic institutions to get into. From Purdue University playing football, he was drafted into the NFL by the New England Patriots. Won a Super Bowl, the pinnacle of what you can do as a football player. Dave Nugent, we reached out to Dave and said, Dave, this is what we're trying to do, and this is our vision. Would you help us? Would you help us network with your friends and in the community and get behind what we're trying to do as an organization? Not just for football, but for all the athletes that are at Houston High School. And Dave, we've had many meetings. Dave, say hello. What we want to do with Dave is we want to put him up and we want to say, this is what success is as a Houston Mustang, during life's journey. Because he is a great mentor and somebody that our athletes can look and say, that's the guy I want to be when I grow up. The next gentleman is Mr. Brian Devers. Brian is also a graduate of Houston High School. He's also partners in the steel business. His wife, Lindsay, was also a Houston High School graduate. And her dad, Mr. Acuff, was one of the original builders and developers of Houston High School and donated the original weightlifting equipment, of which some of it is still in our facility today that we use, back from 1989. And Mr. Acuff and Lindsay and Brian are huge supporters. They're also helping us with our alumni reach out program, and they want to get more involved. They feel that sense of community, and they want to be plugged in. And guys, in 2 months, we have hundreds of people that are now reaching out to us and saying, hey, what can we do to help and how can we be involved? So our new facility, it continues to send that message of excellence always. Would it surprise you to know that almost half the population at our high school plays some type of athletic sport? We have over 540 TSSAA athletes in the school, but when you start adding our club sports in, like a rugby and lacrosse and many of the others, we're close to 900 athletes now in our school. 50% of our population in the high school playing some type of athletic sport and athletic activity. Again, that doesn't throw in some of the arts, like our band, and some of our music groups that are in there too. But when I think about 50% of our population, that's something that we can't ignore, and we need to help those folks. Mr. Stiegel is going to talk to you a little bit about our community.
Hello, gang. How are y'all? My name is David Stiegel. Born and raised here. I'm a Riverdale product, pre-portables. Riverdale before the portables. Went to Germantown High School and then Georgia Institute of Technology. Swore I'd never be back. I'm back. I'm here. This is home. This is where I think a lot of people call home. And when you get involved and you see where you think we might be deficient in where we can improve, and you see elements that you always want to try to make better. I don't think anyone here tonight is telling you that everything that we have is horrible. That's not the case. I think what everyone is trying to do is build some excitement, build spirit, build a sense of community around our school systems. We want all the elementary kids to be a part of something bigger than just themselves or the school they're at. We want them to think of one place that they're going to school. Where is that? That's our high school. That's the one school everybody goes to. And it made me start thinking about things that had me excited about when I was in school at Riverdale. And yes, I was an athlete, but don't hold that against me because my whole talk isn't about athletics. That we had our basketball games during school hours in those early days. So the girls play, the boys play, school gets let out, we're all in the gym together, huge spirit, everyone's going crazy. The floors are packed with kids, stands are packed with kids, small little section for parents, but all the kids are involved. School spirit. You were a Riverdale Raider, or you were a Farmington Falcon. You know, any school that you went to, you wore with pride. But 99% of us thought there's only one school we're going to every year. That was Germantown High School at the time. Because I'm much older, there wasn't used that. So that whole process in your mindset was that the only place that we were going to go was Germantown High School. If you didn't, it was a choice. Not because the facilities weren't what you wanted, the programs weren't what you wanted. Just think about it. When I was there, we had a national recognized TV station. Our arts were second to none. The plays were always sold out or at capacity for every event, every show that we went. Our football games. If you weren't at a football game on Friday night, you were missing something. I guess for all of us, I didn't watch a game ever as a kid. I was playing, but you had to be there to be seen and be a part of it. Yes, we were all playing our own little football game on the side, but you were there in attendance. And we all know having people at your events are what drive community and a sense of community. So by everyone being at those events is what really got everyone wrapped around Germantown. So you had athletics, arts, everybody was supporting everybody because it was our community time. So when we talk about this whole, I guess, this building and this facility that we're talking about, it's not just a football facility. It's basically a facility that we'd like to move the band equipment into a conditioned area and give them another 350 feet. It's a meeting facility. It's an open facility. It's bringing more to the school than just football, and it's opening up an area that we're allowing a group, to make it to where it's a meeting event area where we have a sense of meeting space at a game. It's an event, not just a football game. Trying to turn those events, say the 5 of the Big Ten for football games at Houston High football in this area. And as Mike mentioned, that since community, but finally someone's reaching out to our esteemed athletes, our esteemed students of the past. I didn't go there, but I know a David Nugent. And David is a great man. He's the guy we want. He's the type of person, individual we want around our kids. He's the type of individual we want our kids to see and try to emulate. Not someone that we don't want them to be like. That's the guy that we want our kids to emulate, right there. When we have that resource, he's willing to help. He wants to be a part of something. All we have to do is ask our alumni to be involved. And that's this whole thing around the community. We can make Houston what we want it to be, but we have to make a decision to make it what we want it to be. We can't hope that it'll get there. groups and these great ideas that these young men are putting together, try to put out here. And to talk to a few things that we were talking about this facility, that it's going to bring, like I said, the event atmosphere to football game, which is not a football game. And I think that you'll see more of the community wrapping their arms around events at Houston of if football's successful, who's to say that it doesn't bring up the other elements of our school system? If football is very successful, who's to say basketball isn't more successful? That we have more teams that are plays? That our band is now recognized nationally instead of locally? That our cheerleaders, we know how well they do, but we notify, we let everyone know how great they're doing. It's not just something that's a secret. We let everyone know that our cheerleaders are national champions. Take pride in what we are and who we are, and build this community around our GMSD system, and make sure everyone understands we want every kid to stay in our system and not leave and go to the other school they have choices to, because we have a great system that's provided for us by our schools, and we want everyone to stay. Thank all for your time.
My name is Ronnie Thompson. I grew up here. I went to Germantown Elementary, middle, and high school. So I can tell you I never thought I'd be giving a speech for Houston High School up here, right? The way I was raised, it was totally different. But I'm glad to be up here and be able to talk about it. And to be honest with you, I'm your target demographic. I got 3 kids. My son's 6, trying to figure out where we're going to send him to school, right? I grew up here, went to Ole Miss, and then I came back. And great place to raise a family, right? But let's be honest, there's a lot of places to send your kid to school. I mean, just within my house, and I live next door to Houston, St. George's, Briar, Crest, Germantown, Christian Brothers isn't far, right? I mean, it's literally, you can choose anywhere you want to, right? It's very accessible with that. But what I want to talk to you about today, I've got a few pictures up here, and I always say pictures say 1,000 words, right? We've all heard that. For some of those that haven't seen inside the locker room or the weight room, it's much easier to show you with the photos and what it looks like. So what you're seeing up there right now is the ones to the left side are varsity locker rooms. Right now it's housing about 70 guys, 70 to 80 guys, you know, hopefully 90 to 120, you know, you get 30 people a class. And right there to the right side, what you're seeing is our freshman locker room. And wrestling at the same time. So what happens is also, and I don't know if y'all know this, but we actually don't have just a locker room all year round. That varsity locker room during basketball time becomes the away team's basketball locker room. And y'all can probably guess, if you leave anything in there, an away team and a basketball team comes in, it's not gonna be there the next day, right? It's gonna be gone. So with that, you can go to the next one if you want to. So what we're looking at here is the weight room. Here's the tough part. I'll just kind of give you what you see is power racks. We've got about 6 of those in there right now. Kind of picture the day in the life of a Houston high school athlete that plays football for us. We don't have enough space for everybody to work out at once. So the hard part about it for these kids is they're getting there, they start school early, right? I remember trying to get there, get a parking spot, get to class. They go through class all day. All I hear is Houston's challenging, right? So they're thinking all day and they're working hard. After school, we start workouts 3 to 3:30. The problem is we can't fit everybody in there at once, right? So what do? Coach Hudgens, who's in the back, great man if you want to, does a really good job. So what we decided to do, how can we maximize that time, right? What he does is he takes half the kids, he puts them into the FFA room next door to our coach's office, and we have a study hall for about an hour and a half. So that way those kids can get some work done and they're just not hanging out, you know, in the locker room and wasting time while the other half of the kids are working out in the weight room. And when they go get done, they go outside and they do their running and the next group comes in. Here's the problem, right? These kids now are getting home at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you're asking them to take a shower, eat, do some more homework, right? And then wake up and start to do that all over again. That's hard for me to do, and I get paid to do it, right? That's tough. We're asking a whole lot of our kids to be able to do that. And the whole problem is we just don't have enough space to do it. And that's just the reality of it. The bottom picture you see right there, that's our training table that we've got in the back. And I think there's another photo if you want to click to the next one that kind of shows. all weekend to get that done. The top picture right there, believe that or not, you got one toilet and 2 urinals for 90 kids to be able to use the restroom, do anything they need to do, right? That shower right there, got about 4 to 5 heads, somewhere around there. That's for 90 kids. Our best workout we've had attended has been our 5:30 workout. We hope they shower, right? There's a lot of body spray going on in that locker room. Right, a lot of body spray. But look, what I'm glad to talk to you about today is, this isn't just for football. It's very easy to come up here and tell you what I'm gonna do for football. Let me just go ahead and reiterate this. I coach football also at Houston, so let me preface that. I forgot to say that as well. So, we're actually encompassing more than just us, which I like, right? It's just not about football, it's about Houston as a whole. I'm gonna tell you who really wins in this is band. This is their facilities they have right now. It's not air conditioned, it's pretty cramped. They get into there pretty nice and neat. I'll give them that looking at it, right? When you look up, you open the doors, they do a good job. They got some expensive equipment. They must take care of it. You can go to the next one more, we should do. So here's what we're proposing. We're basically going from about 3,000, 3,200 to 3,500 square feet. So we're gonna add 300 square feet to what the band already has. Not only that, it'll be air conditioned and it'll be to code, so they'll be able to practice in there. Because right now, the building you've got right now is just for storage. They can't do anything technically, right, in that building because it's not to code. Can't say I've never heard of drum, but, so the good part is, we're giving them another avenue. Not only that, we're improving it. They're gonna have a restroom in there as well, so it's not just a center block area. It's gonna have everything they need for the band to continue to grow and to be successful, because football's not Friday night without the band. So we're glad we're able to help with that, and we give them 300 more square feet. If you want to, you go to the next one. So I'm gonna go through a few things with you to kind of show you what our competitors have, right? I think that's important because, it's like Mike Perry said, you're competing in life every single day. And so this is where actually I went to school, where I worked out, and this isn't bad, but I played in 1999, that's when I graduated. Coach Armbruster, who's here, actually coached me. You look exactly the same, Coach. Exactly the same. I can tell you that my facilities, when I played in 1999, are better than where I coach right now. That's just reality of it, right? It's not bad, it's what we've got to use, and we're here to improve it. What you don't see around is another field house that has the locker rooms and everything extended towards it. The difference in that was space. Here's the Carnival proposal. I don't think anybody needs to know anything about this. We all know what they're building. It's been all over the news. I've even gotten, I think, emails on it, like a virtual tour of everything that goes on. And I can tell you this, when I got to Houston, I swore Germantown was a rival, right? Because I went to Germantown, Houston was our rival. It's not the case. Germantown, or Carnival is our rival, right? Coach Judges is ingrained that in my memory now. It's not Germantown. We don't care about them anymore. They're kind of over there. So, we're not trying to keep up with the Joneses here. This isn't tit for tat, right? But what we're trying to do is give our student athletes the best chance to achieve their goals and our goals for them. So this is Briar Crest. My wife actually teaches there, and I'll tell you a real quick story. So I showed up there, and I coached my son's t-ball team, and I had to talk to their superintendent, and found out that I coached football at Houston. First question was, why aren't you here? I said, well, I'm good friends with Coach Evans, and some of those guys are there. He said, you ever seen our weight room and locker room? That's the first thing he said. He didn't ask me if I wanted to see the field. He didn't ask me if I wanted to see anything else. He said, you got 30 minutes. So I teased him, and I got in the park, golf cart, and rode all So here's the proposed Fieldhouse. I'm excited to talk to you about it. I've been seeing the drawings for months now. And so on the home side, where Mustang Lane is, I don't know if anybody knows where that is right now, right? But on the home side, that's where we're proposing it, right behind the home bleachers. So you'll walk right down there, and that's where you'll see it. And the park glass you see right there, that's where kind of the weight room would be. It's a locker room. Looks a little different, right? A little different from the other one we showed, we got put up there. And the thing is, we're not trying to build a locker room, right? We're trying to build something our kids can appreciate, learn how to be accountable, have something to take care of, something they can take pride in, right? So this is our strength and conditioning center. Here's the neat thing about this. This is not just for Houston football. Anybody who comes to Houston, this workout area, right? There's not one sport that would not benefit from this. I can promise you that. We got state-of-the-art equipment. And the paddock, which is pretty neat. So right now, believe it or not, you're looking at the band shed, kind of opened up. And it's gonna be a multi-use building. You can do anything with it. You can host dinners, yoga, on the field. You can do 5K sign-ups. You can have dinners out there. You can have, anything you can possibly think of. When kids are outside, storms, they can go get underneath, get some alleyway to get to. We don't really have a place on the home side that people can gather, right? I remember when I went to school, it was like this patch of grass there by the home field, and all the kids played football, and that's where Seagull was. He said he never watched a game, right? He was over there throwing those little red balls they throw out. So that is a nice area on the home side without having to walk around the congested area to go get over to our other areas to get to over on the end. And that kind of gives you the layout where it's located. That far right side up there is the band area. What I really do like about it is it gives them easy access. That road that's on the side, they're able to go out right there and get right up on the field. You can pull whatever you want to on that road, trucks, trailers, all their equipment will be right there, easy in and out. The other thing that you're gonna have in there, kind of the center area, you're gonna have a film room. So that can be big for football. It can be broken out into position groups. Not only that, it can be later on if track wants to use it, basketball wants to use it, it can be broken down. This isn't, like I said, just about football as well. Gives you many, many options with that. And then the fan zone, kind of where the corral is, where we looked at next to the shed right there, it gives that area where everybody can get to, with it. I'm gonna introduce Scott Lenore, is gonna come and, talk to you a little bit.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Scott Lenore. I get the pleasure of telling you how we're going to pay for it. So I'm that guy. So let me give you some highlights of some of the stuff that we're going to show you today. But we've already told you the cost is estimated at $3.5 million. We've already told you kind of where it's going to be. It's going to be broken down into two phases. First phase is the Fieldhouse. Second phase is the paddock and courtyard. We're looking to build in winter of 2018. So that's just some highlights. Obviously, we want to get into the numbers. So on this slide, what you're going to see is a little information. Our fundraising is multi-pronged. We're looking at doing corporate sponsorships. You'll see the different levels that we're looking at in terms of how we're going to do that. The corporate sponsorship, and then we're looking to do a brick campaign, and then some funding possibly from the school board and from the city. But that kind of gives you an idea of, at high level, the different pieces. And again, I'll go into some more detail about that in just a minute. Next slide, if you will. The next slide is the fundraiser. We want to give you a feel for what the brick fundraiser would be about. You heard Mike talk about alumni. We think this is a big opportunity on the fundraising side of bricks, and that would fit into where you see kind of the layout and what that would look like as we approach the building. So let's just talk about the numbers. One of the things that we try to do is put together a pro forma of kind of the cash flow over the next 6 or 7 years. So as I mentioned, corporate sponsorship's about $650,000, which on a $3.4 million budget is about 16% or 17% of the project. Brick sponsorship is about 60% of the project, And then we did put a spot in there for the school board and GMS, the city of Germantown, putting in about 13% each for the project. So the building, as we said, is about 14,500 square feet. We did that at $170 a square foot, which brings that to about, I think it's about $2.5 million. So when you're looking at the numbers up there, you'll see that we would immediately start to fundraise both on the corporate side and the brick campaign side in 2017. Then we would continue to do that through 2018. There are a couple variables that we can't control right now, but I want you to be aware of them. One is the exact project cost. We're estimating 3.4. It may come in lower, may come in right at it, but that's what we're estimating. The other things that I think are variables are obviously how much can we raise, both corporately and brick campaign. Because as you know by what I just told you, the brick campaign is about 60% of this project. That's obviously a big piece that we're trying to do. The other thing that we're trying to do is limit how much we have to borrow. So that is a variable, but that variable is based upon how much we can raise. So in our pro forma, we put in there that we're going to borrow about $1.3 million in 2019. Hopefully, we can raise enough money in 17 and 18 to fund the project, the first phase of the project. So that's the reason you don't see a loan proceed in 2018, but you do see $1 million of cost if we start to build in 2018. So you see on the cash out piece of this equation, some other expenses, weight lift, furniture, equipment, things like that, that get you to the $2.4 million. The other thing that I would point out is, again, just a cash flow for the next 6 years. The corporate sponsorship, we're looking to do that over a 6-year period. So if we raise $650,000, we would ask our sponsors to pay us out or donate over a 6-year period. So that's kind of at a high level, the pro forma for the building. I don't know what proper protocol is, if there's anybody who wants to ask questions about that, but that's an important part of the equation. So, again, yeah.
I think what we're talking about too is the objective is something similar to what we did with the turf field and the Jumbotron, that this is a partnership between the district and with the community and with corporate sponsors for us. And so what they're seeking tonight is your approval to go out and fundraise and start this activity and keep going down this process. As we go through this process, just like you said, depending on interest rates, depending on the architects, the firm that we bid out for, the RFP that we put out, all those numbers and details could change once we actually get into the project. But really, first step tonight is to get the board's approval to go out and fundraise.
One thing, that's a great, thank you, Jason. One of the things I would say is that we're looking to do a construction loan first part, interest only. We think we can do that to get the loan construction only. I think we budgeted in there 5% as the rate. Then we convert that to a permanent situation, 6 years, 6%. And again, all those numbers reflect that in the pro forma. Obviously, if rates go up, how much we raise. But obviously, with how much we're depending on corporate and brick, we got to get out and raise some money, and that's going to make the project. So we're being very sensitive. Anything that we get in terms of principal back, you'll see in the pro forma we put towards paying the loan down. So you'll see in years 3 through 7 a heavy commitment towards paying the principal down. So any dollars that we have, we're going to try to pay off the debt as quick as possible. I think the other thing that I would say to you that this group's committed to is getting approval. One of the things that we want to do is obviously give you guys regular communication, be very transparent about where we are in terms of fundraising, where we are with financials, project costs. I don't know if that's monthly or as needed, but we definitely come back and give you plenty of color in terms of what we're doing. Yes, ma'am.
Sitting on your board.
Yeah, that's required.
I think they already have somebody on the board now, so.
Yes.
Because it's going to go through the same foundation, we just have a different group
That's
doing the
right.
fundraising. Is that,
Yes,
so
that's
you're
right.
part of that whole, yeah, okay. And is this an annual fiscal year? I mean, or is this, like, when I look at 2017, is that through December?
That's an annual. I think the school board's on a June
Right,
1
yeah,
or July 1
yeah.
or whatever. But yes, that is an annual deal.
And so the question would be, when we're looking for approval, we approve to go get fundraising, would we come back to talk about our commitment?
Yes,
Okay.
completely separate conversation.
Okay, I just want to make sure that so we're talking about two different conversations, because that would be potentially a fiscal
Right.
2019 could be, because we could pay at the end of 2018 if we needed to, if we could see how that goes. Okay.
Part of what we're also thinking about, just from a whatever standpoint, is any money that we raise, we want to put in escrow, because obviously we got a lot of money to raise between now and winter of 18. So if we're out selling bricks, selling corporate sponsorships, things like that, there's going to hopefully be dollars that we raise. But to be fair, we got to make sure we get the money raised to do the project.
Right.
So we think that we also want to take that money and again, put it in escrow. So if somehow the project doesn't get approved or happen, then we can give people their money back. So that is one thing that we're looking at.
Have you talked to the band director, band boosters about this?
Yes, we sure have. Yep, we, Coach Hutchins, Coach Becker, they have sat down with Matt Taylor, who's the band director, educated him on what our vision is and what our plan is and what the renovations to the new space would look like. And he would have input as to some of the design elements and, to make sure that we're fitting his needs from a shelving, cabinetry. One thing that I also wanted to just reiterate and mention that I think is such a big piece of what we're doing that Scott talked about, these bricks. What we want to do is we want to offer the bricks as an opportunity and a fundraiser to all the groups at Houston High School as a way that they can raise money, where they can go out to their own groups and their own supporters to be able to raise the cost of the brick. Say it's $500, 40% of that brick cost will go back into their operating booster budget, as a fundraiser. So whether it's cheer or pom or band or soccer or baseball, we want to encompass all the groups to have a part of this project. We've thrown around other ideas of getting St. Jude involved, where our students at the high school can do tiles for St. Jude. We have a lot of different ideas that we can put into this project to encompass all the students and all the community. But St. Jude is right here in our backyard, and it's a big philanthropic part. And it's, tiles for St. Jude, where 50% of the revenue we generate, that the students make it student only, where the students participate. Houston High School and the GMSD donates that percentage to St. Jude, and the kids at St. Jude draw a tile, and it sits on the wall, of the paddock or the Fieldhouse. Again, we have a lot of different ideas on ways that we can get the community more involved, and the bricks and the tiles are just two of those ideas.
This is very exciting. I love football, but I'm also a band parent. So I think it could be really positive for everybody building that community. I do have some questions. I think Ms. Fisher brought up, have you talked to Mr. Taylor? Has he seen renderings of the building at this point? And
Yes.
what, okay. Because I know the band shed was built and purchased by band booster money totally. So they'd already purchased that storage space. So for them to lose it and then regain another storage space, but then have to work to pay for that again.
We're not asking them for any revenue
Okay,
to be able to do that. Now, if they want to participate in the brick campaign, to have their name or something,
right,
on a brick or as a family member, that's a totally separate fundraising
Okay.
element where a percentage of those funds would go into the band booster club. However,
Right.
Matt and his booster board would want to spend that revenue.
Right.
There's obviously a cost associated with the brick and the construction.
right. Well, they
on
also
that
have
side.
a brick, a brick fundraiser right now as it is.
Where are they putting those bricks? I wasn't
By
aware of
their, by their semi-truck area.
Oh,
They have to
okay.
park their semis.
that. Yeah, and again,
there.
it's just an option. They don't have to
Right,
participate.
no, I think it's exciting. I think the thought of a conditioned, an air-conditioned storage facility
Okay.
for some of those instruments and the things that they put in that.
And we all know that they're practicing in there,
Yes,
and they probably shouldn't be practicing,
yeah.
in there. So we felt like we really needed to offer them a place where they could practice and it's up to code and.
Yes, I just would encourage continued communication with Mr. Taylor to make sure that those needs are met, both
Well, and I
the
think-
football coaches too, and the
I
all
think-
around.
Do
In the
you
end-
feel as if
in
we
the
should
end,
sit
though.
down with the band booster, the booster
Well,
directors
in the
and
end-
talk to them as well?
I mean, in the end, yes, you should have some conversation with them, but I
Yes.
think in the end, the building of this is gonna be overseen by the district.
Right.
And the board will, I'm sure we will make sure that the band parents and the
Well-
booster clubs are informed and that we work with them so that they don't feel like they're losing a space.
Right, I just want to make sure that all of the stakeholders are involved in the planning process.
That's where I am,
That's-
because unless I
that's to me
misunderstand,
important.
the band boosters and the band parents really aren't involved in this. They'll benefit, but they're not involved. And when we start talking about a sense of community, I think that's an objective that I would
Yes.
like to see, is that the band be more involved in this.
No question about it. And prior to us being here, we've kept our talk and conversations about the Fieldhouse to a small, tight-knit group until the GMSD board approved us to be able to go into the community, because we didn't want to give anybody a false sense of hope of what could happen until you guys give us the authorization to be able to go out there. So our conversations have been very loose and very direct with a tight-knit group. We 100% agree. We want to be as encompassing with all the groups as we possibly can, but we've just not been able to do that quite yet.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And just so you know, Mr. Kathy and I have talked, and we've put Josh onto our board, our executive board for the planning of this. Not only does he have a really good background, but he's going to be able to offer us some phenomenal insight into the building of the project and some of the different aspects. So he'll be intimately involved in our planning and our discussions.
Is there any other questions we do need, because we need to move ahead and finish up?
Have you and your committee been happy with the football field?
Very.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And I forget who presented that, but, we've seen Coach Becker with tours of prospective student athletes coming to our school and walking them out there and putting their name up on the Jumbotron and walking them on the field. And again, as I initially mentioned, that this is the shining star, in our portfolio of schools. And we want to make it as shiny and as illustrious as we possibly can.
Thank you. Any
Yep.
other questions from the board? Nope. Okay, thank you
Thank you very
very
much for your consideration.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
We'll move ahead. Approval of ESY internship.
Okay,
Ms. Huff?
so I'll try to be brief. That's not really my gift, but I'll try to be brief. One of the things we were looking at as a way to expand post-secondary opportunities as GMSD and looking where can we make those employable outcomes. I was talking with Mr. Haddow about some students that are interested in working with preschool children, being classroom assistants, that kind of thing. And so we were looking at an internship opportunity during extended school year for some of our students to apply for through Miss Little at the high school, just like a normal internship. It would be a paid position, but it's not asking for additional funds. This money is coming out of the extended contract line item that's paying for all of ESY. So it's nothing new or in addition. I had money set aside for 11 paraprofessionals. So far, I've hired 9. I'm having to open up the application process to external candidates, as well as I feel like this could fill the need for one of our
And
positions.
so I will clarify, this isn't a budget implication for a board, it's just a reclassification of a position. This is an extension of what we're wanting to do through Vanderbilt and our community conversations, where we're actually trying to employ our special needs students and use them in our ESY setting. So it's the next step for us to employ some of our special needs high school students.
So it'd be 2 spots, is that what you have left, or would you be using more?
I have 1 student interested. If 2 apply, then I certainly would
Okay.
consider 2.
Great.
Awesome.
Any,
Thank you.
any questions on?
No.
Awesome.
Awesome idea.
Thank you, Ms. Huffman. Josh, Mr. Kathy? Next on the agenda is the TML insurance renewal for workers' compensation and employers' liability.
And I invited David McDonald here this evening. David is he's with Insight Risk Management. He's our insurance representative. He works with us in the TML on all the claims that we've ever had. And I think that the most telling page, and then if you have any questions about our policy, that's what I brought David along for, because there's a lot of intricacies and things that are included. But if you will go to page 4 on the attachment, and that's at the top, Germantown Board of Education 2017-2018 premium summary. Just to give you an idea on how the premiums have moved, you see the property premium has moved $21,000. Now that's including the Riverdale addition that will be insured as we move forward, so that's $12 million of additional property insurance. We have some additional modulars that are coming online. Mr. Jones and his staff, Ms. Pfizer, Ms. Kinley, they did monumental work updating our fixed assets and inventory to include band equipment and other things of that nature. So the increase is there mainly because we've increased our property. The workers' compensation has actually had a dip of $12,244. So
The payroll is up, so the experience that the school district has had drove that premium down.
Good.
Liability total in general went up $10,225, and our student accident insurance dropped $6,172. So overall, from our premiums that we've paid this year to next year, we're looking at an increase of almost $13,000.
But on the bottom, and I want to make a comment about this, you are your own insurance company. So you are insured with other municipalities and other school districts across the state. There is not an insurance company that makes profit off of you. So at the bottom, you see member dividends, and those will grow over time, hopefully. But that is the money that you get, that is your pro rata share of all the schools and all the municipalities across the state of Tennessee. So that is actually taken off of the $12,000 increase.
Okay.
Are there any questions on our liability insurance? This has been budgeted for, and it's something that we plan on.
And that we
Clear
knew.
as mud to me.
And it is not as exciting as the locker room. I want to apologize about that.
Hard act.
Luckily, no
follow.
pictures.
It smells just better bad, don't it?
Any questions for Mr. Cathy?
No, good. Thank you.
Thanks for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is the general fund budget, second reading. Mr. Jones? I thought I saw him. Oh,
He
there
did
he
come
is.
in.
He came in. There he is.
He was lucky enough to get jury duty today
Oh.
and was assigned to a case.
Oh, of course he was.
It'll be a fun week.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be sequestered, do you?
No, I
Good.
missed that.
Mindy would sympathize, Ms. Fisher would sympathize.
First on the general fund budget, just two changes. They're highlighted in yellow for you on pages 16 and 36. And basically, it's just a change in accounting based upon instructions provided by the Tennessee Department of Education. They prefer that the technology equipment that belongs into the classroom be reported in regular instruction 71-100. And we're also anticipating, I guess, an additional $286,000 in revenue from the city for the maintenance of effort that has yet been, or to be put into the budget. Right now, it's set to close to reserves.
Say it one time.
It's set to close to reserves.
Okay.
So it's what we talked about during the budget season. We don't have the exact amount. It's based on the increase in property taxes that we have from the city of Germantown.
Right.
And so all of us got that letter announcing that it was going to be more expensive for our houses.
Right.
So because of that, we get revenue from the city based on the 15-cent equivalent of property taxes. So when property taxes go up, the city gets more money, and so do we. So we don't know that exact amount at this time. We only budgeted for the current year's amount. Anything additional, we would roll into reserves, or at that time when we know the amount, the board could decide to spend that money for some purpose.
And would that be what we do at the third reading? Is that a conversation we've had at the third reading?
If we have that number by that time, yes, or it could be a budget
It's an
amendment.
amendment
Yeah, we
later
can do
after
a
the,
budget
okay.
amendment.
Okay.
You know, at the beginning
And
of
that's
the
when we
fiscal
might
year.
get back to your list of the things that you're like, depending on how much that is and
That's
where we
correct.
feel like we're going, to see
That's
if there's a
correct.
need that you feel like you have given student numbers.
I think that'd be the best approach. That way we can finalize the numbers from the county for property and sales tax.
Okay.
As well as the BEP funding
Right.
from the state.
Sure.
Any questions on the changes to the general fund budget?
No.
Next is the 2017-18 federal capital cafeteria health insurance and OPEB budgets, which is new.
Right, so this is the first reading. Federal projects, these are the allocations that Dr. Park and Ms. Huffman have submitted for the title programs as well as IDEA. So they're subject to change a little bit, but,
So we will clarify that this is approved, this is federal funding, it has to be submitted to the federal government. It's based on the level of needs of our students and also the demographics of our students. And so they determine the revenue amount, but we also have to plug in to our goals for the district. And we've talked about E-Plan before and putting that information in so that it can be confirmed.
and I think it was submitted last week to the state for their review and approval. And as allocations change throughout the year, then we present budget amendments too.
Any specific questions
Not on the federal, no.
on the federal budget? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Anything
on the
else?
cap,
Yeah,
on the
nutrition.
cafeteria.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
cafeteria.
All
sorry,
each of
okay.
those.
You don't get through very fast.
Good try though.
School
Cafeteria.
nutrition, or the cafeteria fund budget, the revenues are income projected by Airmark.
And how are we looking for this next year?
They're projecting about a $4,000 profit.
But that does not include repairs to equipment and et cetera.
Right, so the district's, basically the operating transfer, the subsidy from the district is about $115,000.
Okay, so that's what that transfers in, number
Yes.
is, okay, that's what I thought.
So
but just
that's
to make sure.
for
Okay.
equipment repair and replacement and supply.
And what we're seeing is
So
just
that's
like
not-
everything else in our district, we inherited a lot of deferred maintenance, and it seems like once a week we have a fridge that's going out, or an oven, or boilerplates, or, so it'll
Right.
take us some time with the equipment to get caught up, with newer equipment.
And
But the good news is that that's not, it is, I mean, it's not good news, but I mean, the fact that we're in the,
Yes.
we're running a profit, which is
Year
good.
one, we had a $300,000 deficit in
Right,
the cafeteria account, and for us to get to this point.
Yes.
Yeah, so
really
we've
good,
dropped it,
really
you
good,
know, to
okay.
115, and we've also removed the shared services component of school nutrition from the budget.
Any questions on the cafeteria?
No, ma'am?
Next is health insurance.
You can do that.
Oh, okay, skip.
Do you want to do health insurance next?
For capital
Or
improvement.
For
capital.
capital improvements, we can do
Capital
in order.
improvements?
I can do the capital.
I have a different-
Capital's based on two components. Spent so much time looking at this, I don't even have to look at the numbers. This, what you're seeing is the carryover for the Riverdale project for us to finish in this fiscal year for Riverdale. But also this, the assumption that we are going to start the new school project or purchase Germantown Elementary, Middle, and High School. What you're seeing is the budget amount that we got approved for at the FAC, which was $27 million. And so that's what's plugged in along with the completion of the Riverdale project. Mr. Jones and Mr. Cathy have sat together and looked and subdivided that revenue out into the different categories as far as site development, building, architect fees. That is the capital.
So the
budget.
the difference of the 27 million and the 28.1 in the bond proceeds is the portion for Riverdale?
That's the
Okay.
conclusion of
At
the Riverdale
conclusion,
project
okay,
in this
okay,
fiscal
that's what I thought,
year.
just to make sure, okay.
Any questions on the capital? Next is health insurance.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm
Health
back in the
insurance.
right
Yeah,
order.
you're okay.
Basically just updating the budget for our current enrollment for employees, showing their contribution as well as the district's portion. Estimating the claims incurred, adjusting, increasing the stop-loss premiums and administrative expenses for projected
And
increase for next year.
Were our claims up this year?
Yeah, they've been up. We've had a few large claims, one $84,000 claim, and several $45,000.
But it has still been a
Good
very
year.
great
Good
year
year.
with health insurance. We'll talk about that during the superintendent's report.
Right.
Okay. Any questions on health insurance budget? I guess next, OPEB?
OPEB trust, we are starting to incorporate this fund into the budget development process for the first time. This budget was reviewed by the OPEB Benefits Committee last week. So we're projecting the employer contributions at $830,000, reflecting the retiree contributions, and these are dollars that come out of the retirees' paychecks to help go towards premiums and actually claims for retirees. Investment income projected at a 7% rate of return on the investments. And we should have Probably close to 1.7 million by the end of this fiscal year in the OPEB trust.
And I think on the OPEB, we'll be voting on that in the June meeting.
Yes, and that was per our request because we want time to go out and talk to all of our staff and employees about what the potential changes were so they can be educated and come with comments for the board when you'll make your decision.
And what I'd like to suggest is that we have a work session before that, maybe just to go over OPEB with the board before we have our
Yes.
meeting on the 19th to vote.
Okay.
That would be great if we could do that. Any questions on OPEB?
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
Back on the general purpose budget, thank you for tying our expenditures to the strategic plan as
Sure.
requested. It worked out
And hopefully
beautifully.
we'll do that more in the future as we redesign the budget documents.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you for all your work on the
Yeah,
budget.
thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you. So
And-
the OPEB, we're looking at a work session for OPEB.
And also too, we have 2 board members that are going to be out of town on the 5th now.
Well, and I think Dan is actually on vacation as
And
well,
so
it's-
we're going to have to change it. City Hall's available on June 19th.
I think I might be
June
in town
19th.
then.
June what?
19th.
And I'm supposed to be out of town, but I'm going to delay my trip.
Give me June 19th.
Yes. And so what we would do is have a work session prior to go over OPEB. Are you in town, Ms. Parker?
I'll be out of town.
Okay. Well, we'll do a check and see who's in town, and we'll
Just
schedule a work
send
session.
it, we'll schedule that, that's fine.
One last thing on there, as we wrap it up. Discussion on Shelby County Commission Tennessee Ready
Yes.
resolution.
Yes, I just wanted to get people's thoughts on that. Shelby County had passed it, I guess, about a month ago now. Just basically saying that, the use of the scores in our GPAs, or in, our teacher evaluations is not something that they agree with. And I know that that's been a sentiment that has been floating around, and so I just wanted to poll and see what the board thought of it. I just saw that it got passed and didn't know if we had an opinion, if it's something that we feel strongly enough that we would want to do something similar, or if it's just something that we want to carry through our voices to our legislators.
Well, you know, my feeling about a resolution, it's nothing more than just a piece of paper. We don't, I think it's more of an impact when we go talk to
I
our
don't disagree.
legislators.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
But I mean, I'll do the will of the board if they want to write a resolution and do it.
You feel the same?
Do you have a comment? You're smiling.
No, just Ms. Parker's comment, because I think it's a dual effort. I do think resolutions serve a purpose, and because they do outline where we're going and what we're resolving to do. So I think they do serve a purpose. That's just a, we can
Personal
agree
opinion.
to
That's
agree
right.
to disagree.
We can agree to disagree.
But
Well,
it does require.
How
us
does
to go.
everybody feel about a future resolution? In agreement, if we do go down that?
On 10 ready, I would like to see us do our own thing. Just not adopt what they
I
have.
agree.
but
No,
do
we
our
should
own.
develop our own.
And when would be the most effective timing of that? Would that be more effective?
Well, one of the things that
In the
I will
fall.
talk about in my update is the fact that I had talked to Kay Williams and we talked about doing maybe a breakfast again with the legislators in August, like as we kind of after the end of the session, but before as school's starting, so as people are getting back in. And it might be a good time for us to think about, are there certain areas that we feel strongly about that as we go into the fall, that there are some resolutions that we want to get people's attention with before we go into the session potentially, and maybe we could bring it up back then and just see if that's a list of items that we might want to discuss as we, especially if we're going to have to hit the ground running quickly on vouchers because they're already kind of be set, ready to go.
Right.
So we might want to get ahead of that
So we'll table it until the fall.
until the fall. Okay.
And then, just real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Kay Williams is going to come to our next board meeting in June.
actually
She's
here.
here. But she's going to come to our board meeting in June, as well as Barbara Fletcher. As part of our board of distinction, we have to be reviewed by 2 level 3, so they'll be coming to our board meeting in June.
Perfect.
Why don't we adjourn quickly and
Yes,
take
break.
a
Yeah.
take a quick break.
they can do that.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure, I don't want it to go unspoken.
We have 2 seats down there.
Good evening. Welcome to the Germantown Municipal School District School Board meeting on May 15th. At this time, I call our meeting to order. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, Ms. Jones, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. I'd like to welcome, I believe we have our mayor with us tonight. Welcome. I believe we also have Alderman Rocky Yonda with us tonight. Thank you. I think we also have Kay Williams and Barbara Fletcher, who are from our Arlington School Board. Welcome. I think we also have Mr. Atkin from Carville School. Thank you for being here. First on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have an motion?
So moved.
Second? Is there a second? Any discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Landers? Yes. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Hoff?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is passed. Next is recognition and awards. And this is a fun time where we recognize our staff and students for their accomplishments.
And I'll start the recognition and awards, so you can go down, Ms. Fisher. I think one of the things that makes our district special, and the reason that we started municipal districts, is to engage our community, to really leverage all of the stakeholders, whether it's the parents, whether it's the teachers, the businesses in the community. And I think that we've seen a perfect example of that in our race that we just had recently. The partnership with Ms. Brockway, so Stephanie, if you would come up here first, and the Germantown Education Foundation has been exceptional. And it took an army, so we don't have time to go through and call each person up one by one, but I am going to read the names and have Ms. Brockway represent them. The board just approved and talked about in that last work session that they are depositing $23,102 to our school, raised from the Race for Education. I think that deserves a round of applause. And that takes months of organization to get that accomplished. And it's Ms. Brockway's team, it's a city team, it's businesses, it's donors, it's sponsors, it's teaching staff and personnel and parents that all had to step up, and they each handled different aspects of the race. And I think we were out there early, 8 o'clock in the morning, making sure that everything was set up and breaking down the evening. It was an exceptional event. So now we'd like to call up those individuals, and I'll read through them very quickly, Ms. Brockway. And these are all committee members who helped us with the GMSD 5K Stampede. Here's our committee. Angela Martin, Dana Gunthorpe, Mario Aviles, Rita Wood, Katie Falk, Courtney Bergen, Susan Pennington, Kevin Weaver, Linda Frederick, Haley Griggs, Thomas Colleget, Amy Jenkins, Joy Williams, Nikki Lay, Tracy Spain, Brandy Thompson, Robin Rudisil, Allison Fondal, Tracy Tickle, Valerie Shimko, Chris Linville, Brian Fisher, Krista Ponder, Steve Chandler, and this is the fundraising committee, Steve Chandler, Ellen Bernstein, Kelly Zimmerman, Dory Sims, Michael Smith, Victoria Bromley, Morgan Bromley, Chris Linville again, and Marissa Loper. Thank you, Michelle Smith, thank you. Thank you for everyone who helped with this race, who helped with this process, and I think we have certificates for everyone. If you would stand, if you were all participants and helped on this committee. Miss Crowder, can we get a quick picture of them? If y'all could all come up here to the front so we could get your picture. You want to be in front of the helmets?
Mr. Kathy, you have space. Am I taking too much of your space? Okay.
And other groups of stakeholders that we also depend upon. It's our teachers. You know that none of us got in this profession to get rich. We do this because we care for kids. We want to see them grow. We want to see them develop. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Haddo, the Assistant Superintendent and also Chief of Staff, and he's going to recognize some of our incredible staff who are doing things every day to really impact students.
Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I do want to stop and pause just for a second. Mother's Day was yesterday, and if you're a mother in the group, happy belated Mother Day. I don't think there's a more challenging chore and rewarding task than being a mom, and I probably did not articulate that well. My mom had two messages for me. One, be kind to everyone, and if you can't say something nice, keep your mouth shut. And my mom is still alive and up in Columbus, Ohio, and I cannot think of a finer exemplar of a mother. So if she's listening, amen, Mom, wherever you are, up in Columbus, Ohio. I do want to call some people up to be recognized, and I'm going to do it as a collective cohort. So when I call your name, and these are the names of the teachers and some administrators that are being recognized this evening. Brianna Gould, and I'm going to say more about them once they get up here. So Brianna Gould, come on up. Carrie Eldridge, Jessica Minton, Krista Phillips, Carla Christian, and Liz Diaz. And now they're looking at me, hey, Mr. Haddo, where do we stand? If you'd be so kind, just make a line in front. So Jessica, come up here. Good. Krista, other side. Brianna, and just kind of spread out. Oh, teachers can never follow instructions. Isn't that ironic? Brianna, come on over towards me. Yeah, you guys are good. Don't move. Brianna, if you're Brianna, come on over here. Liz, move way down there to the right. And you three, because you're stage fright, which is hard to be a teacher, just spread out a little bit. Yeah. And towards me, Jessica. Don't be shy. Don't bite. Yeah, just keep coming, keep coming. Now, what I'm trying to do is connections. I imagine, and I did not ask this, and I probably should ask on the front end, did you guys bring loved ones that are supportive of what you're doing as an educator? And if so, only allow one of them to come up here. Oh wait, I have to choose. Unless they're under the age of 12, they can come up, yes. So please, if you're a loved one that represents these guys, husbands, spouses, moms, dads, come on up. It's almost like I don't believe this guy. Yeah, don't be shy. And then again, teachers, spread out again with your loved ones. So you're working this way. Every one of these teachers is only as good as the loved ones behind them. And when you think of a teacher's life, and this is where I'm going to start talking about some descriptors of all these exemplars. Brianna Gould is a third grade teacher at Farmington Elementary School. And what she has in common with the rest of them is she is so student-centered that it's magical to watch her teach. And I've been in there watching her teach, and I thought, wow, that rhythm that you have, don't disrupt the dance. But she even goes further. She goes so far with it that she invites parents to celebrate the authors of the week. So the student is the author, and parents get to celebrate the writing style of the student. Furthermore, when the district office, and here I want a district office member, probably Dr. Park, to just go stand somewhere down the line, find your spot. If you look at Dr. Park and what she's trying to do, Brianna Gould is the one that's taking the new curriculum with the state standards to get these students to excel with accountabilities for students. So she's taken stuff like expeditionary learning or wit and wisdom, and she's applying it in the everyday world that she lives. And that, to me, exemplifies what a great teachable spirit. And whoever you brought up here, Brianna, it looks like your twin, but I think it's Ashley. Oh, yeah, I know you, Ashley. There must be something along that genetic family line that I really love to meet either your mom or dad, because, Lordy, we need to clone that situation. So I appreciate what you're doing, Brianna. Thank you for being here. The next... The next person, and I know a little about Carrie Eldridge, and this is not about me. No, you can't leave. We're going a little bit step further. Yeah, please don't leave. The next person is Carrie Eldridge. Carrie, she doesn't know this, and I'm going to confess something that you probably shouldn't do when you're in the human resources business. There was a hesitation on my part in advising the principal, and I remember it like yesterday. You know, she's coming from this Teach for America deal. I don't really know about her credentials. This is some job embeddedness program that's not traditional. I don't even know if technically we can do this. But then it came through the interview process that she was such a strong applicant candidate maybe 2 or 3 or probably 3 years ago, that it was powerful what she is doing. What she is doing is she's dancing with the data. And when she dances with the data, she does not forget the student and the face behind that data. So she has them do something I wish I would have had the opportunity to do when I was a student. She has them test out of the standardized test that she may be giving, the assessment that she may be giving, if she can detect that they've already mastered the objectives. So now these kids go up another notch. Instead of a rote memorization, compare and contrast, she says, hey, you can test out if you like and go do a project to really get in depth and engaged with the material. And the number of students that are jumping at that because they want to be creative, out-of-the-box thinkers. But more importantly, she's instilled the confidence in them to be out-of-the-box thinkers. I cannot think of a more powerful teacher practice than what Carrie Eldridge, and I'm so happy that I'm told Liz you must hire her without any reservation. So with Carrie, she's at Houston Middle School, and Carrie, I forgot what grade you're teaching, so help me out. Is it? Sixth grade. So again, thank you for being with us in the system. The next person is Jessica Minton. She is the STEM guru. So when you're talking acronyms, the acronym STEM is, I'll probably butcher it, I think it's science, technology, engineering, math. And what you've seen in this country is there's a real shortage of having this type of student engaged in our United States as we rebuild our infrastructure and you use that type of mindset. Jessica Minton is someone who is everywhere. She's bigger than what's in between the walls in serving kids. If you go to a basketball game, maybe, I think maybe Mr. Harris may have that part. If you go to a football game, you would see her at the gate. If you go to an after-school activity like a play production, you would see her at the play production. But if you look at what she does in the classroom with the engagement of the student, it is a one-to-one focus where she puts the kid in a type of Zen-like, hey, I believe in you again, that what you can do is beyond what you think you can do. I'm here to maximize your potential, and I'm here to differentiate my instruction to make you the best of what you can be. She does not know that I know this. At one time, I think she was probably contemplating leaving the teaching profession due to an experience that she had, not with us per se, and somehow, probably through her husband, I think, hey, stay the course and maybe try another angle. She is now up for the Southwest Teacher of the Year with Carrie Eldridge, and that's all the school systems in this area. And I cannot think of a more courageous, perseverance, persistent effort on her part, and I know Mr. Cherry at Houston High School is so happy to have you. So thank you. Carla Christian and Liz Diaz, I don't see, oh, they're up here. They've done something that is really close to my heart. They went after something, and they're the only school in the state of Tennessee that got this recognition. And they call it the RAMP. And don't ask me what that acronym stands for, but I can give you a brief overview. It happens to do with the social emotional health and well-being of students. So from a counseling perspective, that has to be there, or if not, the kid will probably never excel academically if they don't feel well-rooted and well-grounded in this social-emotional health, critical type of presentation of who they are and the development of their identity. Parents, raise your hand if you have a middle school kid. Put your hand down if that kid's identity stays the same throughout the week. Thank you. Proving my point. So they're going after that, and they're going after that in a manner that protects the decency of the whole child. And I really wish in today's age and time and circumstances that people had that healthy outlook on kids, because that is at the core, is to have that caring, empathetic leadership, whether it be coming from the guidance office or whether it be coming from the principal, and it's working its way down to the guidance office. So to Ms. Diaz and Ms. Christian, thank you very much. There is someone, so if you stop and pause for a minute and you reflect, if you look at the talented people up here, Krista Phillips, and raise your hand, Krista, are you hiding? Oh, it's good to see you. She is someone else that has been recognized as the only teacher in the state, and I have to read this, the STEM Teaching Award by the Tennessee STEM Innovative Network. Innovative Network. Pay attention to that, to have that autonomy to go off script, to see the talents of kids. And if you're a parent in here, note, I cannot think of a system that has a better parent cohort sending us kids ready to learn. That's huge. So parents, whatever you're doing, to have a disciplined mind, habits of learning come into our schoolhouse, thank you so very much. It frees up people like Krista Phillips to really go after this STEM again, to really find what their pathway is in life. And she does so much more than just that. I think she's and I'm not a scientist, she's probably involved with coding and all the scientific engineering concepts that are out there, and she's doing a wonderful job with that. I cannot recall if she did or if she did not teach my son Sam, but if she did, forgive us. But quiet, confidentiality matters for applause. Anyways, her work and her effort as a teacher, and if you stop and look at this whole crew, what a wonderful, talented group of people to have in this system, and what a wonderful time to celebrate and recognize them. I don't think you can find a finer crew to start out or to have in the school system with Germantown Municipal School District. I want you to pause for a second, because I'm going to transition to something else that is a little bit unique, and I'm going to put my teacher hat on through a demonstration. And this is where I probably need Alyssa Stratton to help me. She's going to step all the way, actually, we're going to do right now is tie these people up so they cannot leave. I'm joking. So I'm going to step aside for 1 second, and I need a volunteer. Brian, come on up. He's going to hold this because I know we just talked about maybe workers' comp in the work session. We don't want that. Here's what I want. Brian's going to take maybe 10 steps back. And when he does this, I want Mr. Bond, Ms. Price, Ms. Diaz is already up here. I'm probably missing someone. Mr. Cherry, if he's here. Mr. Pukowski, if he's here, to come on up. And then Brian's going to step back. And then to work through this even quicker, and Brian's going to unravel, Alyssa, you're staying put. As they're going through this, I know I saw some kids in lieu of all this. When you're looking through this demonstration, if I could get maybe 3 kids to come up here and stand with this group, that would be wonderful. And I know there's some over here that I know personally. But 3 more kids or anyone that would like to, don't be shy. All right, I'll throw you a pizza. Here he comes. But then when you look further, and this is where people are shy because it's getting awfully hot up here and uncomfortable, and I don't like crowds, and I don't know if I brush my teeth or use deodorant and all that good stuff. But if I can find a parent who represents the goodness of the Germantown community and believes in the excellence that we're trying to do, please come on up. And it could be one parent, it could be any parent. Don't make me pick on someone. Thank you. And so this is the parent group. And I'm gonna switch gears and I'm gonna draw everyone up to the slide. So thin slicing, and then you see con in parentheses, text, and finding the golden thread. If you remove the con, and if you just read it, thin slicing the text and finding the golden thread. In front of you is the golden thread. And in front of you, and I didn't bring up and sorry, Mayor and the Alderman, not out of disrespect, they're part of the golden thread. They're part of who we are as a school system. And if you look at the golden thread, something came up in a discussion that our superintendent asked, and I really kind of thought, well, what is the answer to that question? And it may have been a rhetorical question. And it was this: what does an exemplary superintendent look like? And what does it feel like? And what does it sound like? And when Mr. Manuel looks at this group of people, I would say, hey, Mr. Manuel, this is what it looks like. And if I were to do this right, but because of time and because I'm perspiring up here because it's awfully hot, I would have Mr. Manuel, and he doesn't want this. But when I think of an exemplary superintendent, I think of one word: reconciliation. He is such a powerful listener to all the various stakeholders, which you see in front of you, that he never rests trying to make the system better. Continuous improvement is a theme that you hear about in the education jargon. The guy is about continuous improvement. Okay, well, wait, give me some exemplars. I don't know if a superintendent goes to a dance on a Friday night. I don't know of a superintendent, and I love Mr. Atkin wherever he is, you can't miss him. I don't know of a superintendent who, hey, can you come meet these new recruits coming into our town and visit with them and sell the system? I don't know of a superintendent who cries in the office with others on his staff when things are getting rough because he's got that strong degree of sensitivity and that connectivity. His approachability factor, I cannot think of a time where he did not try to respond in an ethical manner that is at such a high standard that, wow, he's playing on another level. So with that, if I were smart, and I never got these cords, but I would cut this yarn, and it's gold, symbolically. Why is it gold? Because gold is that mineral that never fades away. And I simply ask to Mr. Manuel, don't let your soul fade away, because you're running an exemplary school district. And on behalf of myself and this group of people, and I think, and I can't speak for everybody, but for this group of people, if I were to cut this cord and put it over his jacket, or over his jacket, in the same manner that kid that's getting ready to walk across the stage, and congratulations parents of those seniors, and they have all their honors cords, we could cut this in so many sections that the cords would be nonstop. So on behalf of everyone that came tonight, And on behalf of Mr. Manuel and behalf on these teachers, thank you for being connected, and thank you for being part of the yarn and serving this system and this community. For those teachers and their loved ones, you may want to stay up here for a minute. You may want to get a picture. Here's where you do have to tighten up. But I'll turn that over to maybe Ms. Crowder and Mr. Manuel at this time.
Congratulations to all our teachers that received recognition today. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes from the April 18th, 2017 board meeting and the May 2nd, 2017 special called board meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Landers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is passed. Next is the reports. We'll start with the TLN update. Ms. Jones?
Yes, thank you. Well, last week, the 110th session of the legislature ended after a long and many list of laws. The 111th session will reconvene in January 2018, which will be here before we know it, I'm sure. Just to give you a few stats of how many things happened during this session, TSBA tracked over 182 pieces of legislation this session. 48 of those became law or will become law. And the good news is that none of the 17 bills that TSBA or GMSD actively opposed became law. So our efforts, and I thank all of you and that contacted your legislators, especially in the voucher area, really was beneficial. Just an update on our legislative agenda items. The school vouchers did not pass. Repeal of the public charter 669, the physical activity, did pass. Unfortunately, the bidding and sale of surplus property, the sponsor was withdrawn. The local newspapers were not in favor, but we will still keep bringing that up just to see if we can get someone to stronghold. There's still some legislation that is viable, even though it did not go and will not become law. There are items that stayed in committee. Voucher, as I mentioned in the work session, we will need to stay vigilant because those are in the Senate and House Finance Committees. So they've already made great strides. So next year we will have to be vigilant. Thank you. RTI funding and some other items up for BEP will stay in committee and will be held over so that hopefully we can talk through the fall and get that funding into the next budget, as well as the use of ACT and SAT test. That was not presented into the subcommittee, so that hopefully we will be able to pull that out. A couple of things for discussion. In the last hours of the session of the Senate and the House, they unanimously passed and voted teaching a semester on Tennessee history in public schools, which is out of the scope of the work that was being done on social studies. So unfortunately, that is something that the Education Department will have to deal with. That the good thing is that that will not come into law until 2018, so that we do have some time. And as I mentioned in the work session, we will be working with Arlington Schools and working to put together a legislative breakfast. We had one in January that was very successful in talking to the legislators as they were going into session. We're hoping to reconvene with that group in August so that we can get them engaged in the fall, so that we can work on those legislative items before they get into session in January. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Next is the chairman's report. I just want to say the month of May is always a busy one. Our board and district had a retreat to discuss our strategic plan. We had a superintendent evaluation and a board self-evaluation. The district and city met with the Shelby County School Superintendent Hobson and their chair to discuss an offer for the 3 Germantown schools. Since then, Shelby County Schools has brought the offer of $25 million forward to their facilities committee, and we look forward for further discussion with Shelby County Schools. I want to thank our HR department and our 5 schools for school snapshots. It's where we open up our schools for potential employees to come and visit with our staff, our teachers, and our administrators. And Dogwood had a very catchy theme this year, "There's no place like Dogwood." And Houston Middle School had a great interview team made up of students, and they interviewed me, and one of the questions they asked me was, if I was a new crayon in a crayon box, what color would I be?
Oh, that's a good one.
And they had tennis teal. At the end of the school year, I want to thank, as well, all of our board. I want to thank all of our teachers for their dedication and hard work. I know that they put a lot of time not only in the classroom, but in our extracurricular activities and our athletics, and we truly appreciate it. It's what makes our district outstanding. And I also want to thank our hardworking district staff who go above and beyond every day and wear 2 or 3 hats, and thank you to all of you as well. Next is Mr. Jones, financial report.
Okay, you have the financial reports for the month of April 30, 2017. First on the balance sheet, total assets, total liabilities, and fund balance. Reporting across the funds, school operating fund at $19.6 million, federal projects at $23,000, the cafeteria fund $150,000, capital projects $1,286,000, the health insurance after a good claims month right at $2,150,000, OPEB trust $1,244,000, and our fixed asset account group right at $65 million.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Next on the agenda is superintendent's report. Mr. Manuel.
I have some visuals to go along with our report. There are so many things that we want to highlight this year, so I'm going to stray a little bit from my off-the-cuff talking the way I normally do. Normally I like to look at people I'm talking, so I'm going to read some of these achievements because there are so many. We have a tradition of excellence in Germantown, and it's evidenced by the numerous achievements this year. But I think it's also important that my staff always keeps a growth mindset and that we always continue to seek opportunities to improve. I begin by speaking to one of our many successes as a district. In a well-established high school that has always enjoyed high achievement, our staff and teachers did not rest on their laurels. They implemented new programs at the school focused around the ACT. There were boot camps. They're using Naviance, which is a software program for students that has practiced ACT test on it. We also added ACT flex periods that was created by Mr. Cherry and his teacher leader team. They also did student tutoring with the 30-plus club, and those are students who scored a 30 or higher on their ACT. And in a school-wide focus on increasing student scores, these plans of action are how they're going to get better. They're not saying, oh, we did good last year. They're continuing to look for ways so that every student can grow with their ACT. I'm sure many of you are aware that we as a district have earned the highest district ACT average in the state for the second consecutive year, and we are proud but are still striving for excellence. And that average was a 24.9. I'm even more proud of the work being done when I report to you that 228 students scored a 30 or above on the ACT. And that's a new record for Houston High School, and it's an increase of 29 students, and the scores are still coming in, so we expect that that number is even going to get bigger. We look forward to receiving our state reports, and we also believe that we'll show that our students who are scoring below a 21, and that's the qualifying score for the Hope Scholarship, we will see a vast increase as well. If we are providing our high school students with post-secondary opportunities, we need to continue to offer a wide range of choices, whether that's expanding our AP courses that we're offering, the dual enrollment courses, the career and technical certifications, or internships. And we have seen expansions in all of those areas this past year, and we're excited that we're adding mechatronics, which is a trade certification for next year. With this work came several local and state accolades. The Memphis Business Journal recognized Houston High School as the most challenging high school. U.S. News and World Report ranked HHS highest in Shelby County and number 7 for public schools. By these outside measures and our recent accreditation by Advanced Ed, I know that we are on track to become one of the best school districts in the nation. Accolades all aside, this year my staff has also demonstrated a growth mindset. We're not sitting and just waiting and saying, oh, we reached our goal. In the foreign language department, our students took top spots for the state on the National French, German, and Spanish tests, a true testament to our excellent teaching staff. Our students with disabilities have also seen new partnerships aimed at increasing their opportunities to find meaningful employment after leaving us. And I'm very proud that my board tonight decided that we were going to extend that this summer and actually employ some of our special needs students in our ESY courses this summer. And they are actually going to be the ones who are serving other students. The contracted partnership between Germantown Municipal Schools and Baptist Women's Hospital is also an incredible testament to the power of persistence and hard work, that our students are working in real-world applications. Outside of the high school curriculum, you're seeing increased rigor and engagement in all of our schools, whether it's the expansion of Project Lead the Way, which is a STEM initiative in grades 3 through 8, or incorporating technology and engineering within our science and math classes, or the creation of the Junior Honors Academy and Junior Leadership Academy, which are also challenging students to develop our middle school students, as not just academically, but also civically, because we want them to become good citizens. In addition to developing our students as scholars, our district has made this commitment to developing them as good citizens. We've asked our schools to ensure that every student in every grade level is provided an opportunity to give back to their community. The results are astounding. Just asking our principals to name their top 2 charities of choice for their schools, our students and families collectively donated over $110,000 this year alone for Le Bonheur, St. Jude, and the American Heart Association, among other opportunities that focused on collecting actual products, whether it's canned goods, socks, hats, or teddy bears. The list generated by our principals details so many wonderful experiences for our children in which they had the opportunities to serve others. At Houston High School, they earned a collective 2,000 hours of service as categorized by national organizations like the Beta Club and National Junior Honor Society. This year, we have advanced the Leadership Academy to really help cultivate leadership skills in its students. And I'm excited that we have developed a partnership with Rhodes and the University of Memphis to engage their college students with our high school students so that we're promoting vertical leadership development. As a district, we are committed to developing the whole child, not just academically, not just athletically, but also artistically. Our orchestra program continues to grow every year, and we are extremely proud to have made a leap of faith in funding the addition of strings to our elementary school levels. It has enhanced and brought new life into the orchestra program, and the results are ever present this year, as 39 of our students took their seats to play in the All-West or All-State and even national orchestra groups. Those outside of our system see our students and have already begun to associate Germantown Municipal Schools with outstanding music instruction. It proves that we are willing to provide and expand all the opportunities in our district, whether it's academics or athletics or the arts. That tradition of musical excellence, of course, continues in our highly decorated band program at the high school. Our All-West numbers broke a new record, and Houston High School by far produced the highest number of participants in West Tennessee. This trend is also being witnessed at the middle school level, where both of our programs at Houston Middle and Riverdale are breaking records for their students that are qualifying for All-West. Under the new GMSD administration, we've seen both the choral department and the Houston High School theater department excel to greatness. We currently have the top 2 choirs in the region and the number 2 best choir in the country. Next week, students from Houston High School journey as a cast to the Orpheum as they've been nominated for 15 HMSTAs, and those are awards that are like the Tonys for Mid-South High School students. Their spring production of 42nd Street has received more nominations than any other Mid-South production. We have created the Fine Arts Academy this year, rounding out my original vision of smaller cohorts or schools within the school. that began years ago when I was assistant principal at Houston High School and I started the Honors Academy. Because at GMSD, we want to offer a unique and personalized experience to every student. I'm excited to see what the future holds for our newest academy. Another area of extracurricular opportunity is the best athletic department in the area. Ranked as best of the preps for 18 consecutive years, the program is continuing to thrive. All 7 fall varsity sports went to their state championships. You simply don't find these opportunities at public schools. We have 2 girls soccer students who have also graduated early. They graduated at Christmas, and they're already playing on their college teams. As I reflect on the work we completed this year, and I know Mr. Cathy's sitting there thinking, we did something in operations. I have to mention the capital improvements. When the district began with $23 million in deferred maintenance cost, no one would expect an immediate solution. But my staff, along with the school board, created a 5-year facility strategic plan, and we've successfully reduced that list, all the while maintaining a sizable reserve from year to year. Alderman Yonda, Mayor Palazzolo, I can't thank you enough for our partnership with you for the funding that you give us. It takes a team to create something like you're seeing on the screen, which is Riverdale's progress over the past year, which is a $12 million state-of-the-art facility. And I'll wait for it to finish before I move on. This year, the district saw some major improvements, such as this completion of the state-of-the-art facility at Riverdale. We also did things at Dogwood. We re-roofed, added a new HVAC system and energy management system at Dogwood, and a new preschool playground. And there are projects that are completely unnoticed on a smaller scale, but they make a meaningful differences every day on our campuses. The addition of a car rider line and reconfigured security interest at Dogwood Elementary School. The expansion of the modular classrooms at Dogwood and Farmington, adding a projector at Houston High School's auditorium, paving the drive areas and addition of sidewalks at Houston High School for increased walkability and parking, remodeling the Houston High School cafeteria so that it looks like a food court, completing the Jumbotron at Houston High School, and moving the old scoreboard to Houston Middle School so that the soccer team could use it. New exterior lights at Farmington and the addition of crosswalks at Farmington for safety, and the purchase of classroom recycling bins at all schools. I've touched briefly on some of the accomplishments this year. The students that we have in our school are exceptional, and the programs that we have, and we could go on and on. This is just a small sample of what we've done. But I could not end this list without mentioning our most valuable resource as a school district, our teachers. And you've just seen some of those teachers, how extraordinary they are, and they received their awards tonight. We could give out so many awards to our teachers. It's hard to just select a few. But 2 out of our 6 teachers this year for the Southwest Core are from our district. Farmington was chosen by the Commissioner of Education for a site visit because of their work with early literacy. GMSD was named a top place to work by the Commercial Appeal for 2 consecutive years, and that's a survey of our staff and how they feel about what we're doing for them. But how is the GMSD accomplishing that? I'm extremely proud to tell you that some of the things being done in human resources that earn such acclaim. We made a hard decision when we started as a municipality, and that's to have our own health insurance, and it had risks. But that decision has resulted in no increase in health insurance costs for 3 consecutive years. And I'm excited to tell something else tonight that our teachers don't even know. Because we've had such a good year with claims and our budget is so good and we built a $1.7 million reserve in our health insurance account, I'm excited to announce that our account has performed so well that our employees will receive a health insurance holiday on May 31st. And so what does that mean? For your health insurance, we don't have to take out money from your paycheck to pay for that this year. For a family that is paying for their health insurance, a teacher, that's adding $360 to that family. So this next paycheck should be a good one. Our Human Resources Department has also expanded the new teacher development program. We call it Blue Chips. And we added new teacher recognition ceremonies like the tenure celebration or the Blue Chip pinning ceremony. We have also seen the recruitment of over 127 potential certificated staff on college visits. We are going out there and finding the best to teach for our schools. The expansion of our school snapshot events, where teachers actually come in, prospective teachers, and visit the school and meet the students and meet the parents and meet the teachers so they can really get a feel for the culture before they apply there. We had 223 prospective teachers come to our schools, and we had day-long tours for those teachers in hard-to-fill areas. And last but not least, I think it's important to say that we have made a commitment to gather community input. In every decision that we make, we are not making it in isolation as a staff or a board. My staff has spent weeks creating and preparing for the multitude of committee events in the district. So for the school site selection, we had 2 district-wide surveys, 2 citywide forums, and we had 3 different committee meetings made up of experts from around the community to help us choose the school site. We had a calendar committee, which also had 2 district-wide surveys, 2 committee meetings, where we were really gauging the public's interest on how do we establish our calendar. The School Design Committee, which is still going on right now. We've had 1 district-wide survey to see what do our parents want, what do our stakeholders want in a new school, and we've already had 2 committee meetings to help design this new school. And Community Conversations. This is a pilot program where we partnered with Vanderbilt, and we were engaging multiple stakeholders to provide meaningful employment for our students with disabilities. And I'm proud to say that out of that movement, we've actually added a position in the district where we're going to have a facilitator at Houston High School that is going to be out there working to find meaningful employment for our students with special needs. And if you missed any of these events, the availability of all of these documents online, whether it's the notes or the scorings or the minutes or pictures when the board went and toured the sites, is a testament to our transparency as a district. We also have regular meetings with multiple stakeholder groups, whether it's our monthly principal meetings, our monthly assistant principal meetings, or the fact that I'm regularly meeting with our PTA presidents. And a lot of the ideas that we come out with, like the recycling bins, came out of those meetings with our PTA presidents. I am thankful for the board's commitment to improvement and look forward to the continued success of Germantown Municipal Schools. And that concludes my superintendent's report.
Wow. Thank you, Superintendent. That was a good way to, as we end our school year, to hear all of our accomplishments. Next on our agenda is the superintendent evaluation. It is the responsibility of the board to maintain and improve the quality of our administration and the instruction of our district. As part of the responsibility, the board formally evaluates our superintendent each year, and we usually give a report at our board meeting, a brief one. Through the evaluation of the superintendent, our board strives to accomplish the following. 1, to clarify for our superintendent his role as determined by our board. 2, to clarify for all board members the role of the superintendent. 3, to develop harmonious working relationships between the board and the superintendent. And to provide effective administrative leadership for the district. The evaluation this year was completed by the board, consisted of 2 components, B and C. B is the overall board observational data in 9 domains of competence, and the second component of the evaluation is in regard to specific objectives that are aligned to our strategic plan. In addition, the superintendent's cabinet completes an evaluation. Superintendent Manuel received a score of 4.9 out of 5 from his cabinet, and an overall 3.4 out of 5 from the board. That was averaged together for an overall score of 4.2 out of 5. Last year's board superintendent evaluation was a 4.8 out of 5 from his cabinet and a 4 out of 5 from the board, for an overall score of 4.4 out of 5. Specific strengths from the evaluation include student achievement, staff and personnel, and establishment of a strong district strategic plan. Areas to improve included informing community of the district's vision, evaluating the organizational personnel structure, and conflict resolution skills. The evaluation model adopted by the school board is in alignment with the team model. The rubric used for the evaluation scale was the following. 5 was significantly above expectations, 4 above expectations, 3 at expectations, 2 below expectations, and 1 significantly below expectations. Moving forward, I suggest the board complete training on the team model and the scoring rubric. I believe there were misunderstandings based on reviewing the scores. As a result, I think the superintendent scores were skewed. In addition, Board Policy HR 5.803 states board members' scores need to be supported with objective evidence. Educational success depends on a good working relationship between our superintendent and our board. Neither can operate efficiently without the support of each other. I hope, or I expect, that our board will put away all personal and political differences as we move ahead, committed to educational excellence for our district.
Chairman Fisher, may I?
Yes.
Statement? Evaluations serve important purposes when done objectively and when they are evidence-based. However, there are those rare instances, such as this, where an evaluation paints an incorrect and inconsistent picture of the person being evaluated. This year's superintendent's evaluation process highlighted concerns with a changing rubric and a lack of understanding of the Tennessee Educator Acceleration Model, or the TEAM model, as Chairman Fisher spoke about. However, the 2017 evaluation is now in the past, for better or for worse. It is time we look forward and learn from the challenges of this year. We will make necessary plans to ensure that as a board, we have TEAM model training prior to the beginning of our evaluation process in 2018, as well as an update by our administrative staff on our strategic plan. We as a community have an extraordinary individual in Superintendent Manuel. Mr. Manuel is a man of great integrity and empathy, someone who cares deeply not just for this school system, but he cares about the families that we serve. He has my full support as our superintendent as we move forward with our work on behalf of this community's children. I have every confidence, Mr. Manuel, that you will continue to lead our school district to even greater heights and will work each and every day to ensure a high-quality education for every child in this community. Thank you, Chairman Fisher.
Anybody else? Okay. Next is citizens to be heard. Briefly, citizens are asked to complete a card indicating their desire to address the Germantown Board of Education. If you haven't filled out a card, you can fill it out and bring one up to Ms. Vijaya. Comments must be constructive. The school board will not entertain any disrespectful comments regarding elected officials. Citizens will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. First is Jeanette Taylor.
Am I live here? Board members, Mr. Manuel is my superintendent. As our leader, he is motivated and helped us all set our vision to focus on our way, our why. He always brings decisions back to our students, having excellence always. He has earned our trust. He is someone we all want to follow. His evaluation should reflect and show the great things he has helped us all accomplish. Mr. Manuel has earned this. Our district is known for so many great things. These great things are all products of having a strong leader. He takes time to listen to individual concerns and offers feedback and support. I'm here to show you my support. He has from the very beginning helped to unite our city and our schools. He's the perfect choice for our leader. He is our visionary. How you see him is how you see all of us. He is our leader. Trust him and let him do his job. We promise that we will all continue to make you proud. Mr. Manuel, this is what a 5 looks like.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Next, Susan Simmons.
Mr. Manuel, when you came to Houston Middle School as principal in 2012, you made it clear to our faculty that all decisions would be made by doing whatever was in the best interest of students. When you became our superintendent, that continued to be your priority. I have had the privilege of serving on a few district committees, and your rule of thumb and direction to us has always been to do what is in the best interest of students in our district. Through the merger and subsequent demerger, you kept staff morale high, the focus on the students, and you have done what you know is right regardless of criticism. You have taken GMSD from a fledgling district to one that has received state and national academic recognition and one that has been recognized as an exemplary district by the state. Our district is growing and we are bursting at the seams. Your staff and teachers love and respect you. Applications for open positions have flooded in because of the positive words that your teachers say every day about working in this district. Thank you for your vision, your leadership, and your commitment. You are a 5 in my book any day.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. Next, Linda Abels.
I'd like to address the board members about the evaluation of our superintendent, Jason Manuel. I've worked for Shelby County and Germantown Municipal School Board now for about 9 years. When I first came to Houston High, Mr. Manuel was so welcoming and helped me learn the ropes as I had never worked in the high school before. Here's my evaluation of Mr. Manuel. He has a heart for children and wants every child to succeed. I saw him on several occasions spend time with students that were in trouble, and he would sit down with them and try to encourage them to do better, and he would encourage them to get involved in school activities and clubs. I seen him work with our special needs children and how they loved him and would hug on him all the time. He was a great assistant principal and then became principal of Houston Middle School. What better person than to have someone who's been a teacher and administrator to be our superintendent? I think too many times we hire people who don't know anything that goes on in our schools. Mr. Manuel is highly qualified for this position. I think he has done an exemplary job as superintendent. As board members, you have been elected to be professional and objective as you make decisions for our school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Abels. Next, Heather Fisher.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just want to say that when I heard Chairman Fisher's words about the reflection that she is already planning, that the board is already planning, I feel relieved. It is so important that that whenever you're in a position to evaluate someone, that you fully understand what the rubric, what the expectations are. And it's very important to have that growth mindset where you're in constant reflection. It's so important that you have evidence to support whatever decisions that you make. And it was clear at the board retreat, as I heard the evaluation, it was clear that there were a lot of questions that many people had in terms of what the expectations are. And so I look forward in the coming year to hear your conversations, even beginning tonight, about what is a 5, what is a 4, what is a 3, so that we're clear on that. And I just want to thank you all for the time and the opportunity that you're giving to our students. This is a great sacrifice for you to be here. This is a great sacrifice that you have day in and day out given our students and our teachers. And I thank you for that. And I thank you that we are all in here for the same purpose. We're here for our kids. And so I just thank you all, and I am so thankful that we have the right people doing the right job. We're here for the kids. I thank you for all the times that I've reached out, and you've provided me with feedback. You've provided me with the information that I've needed. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. Next, Teresa Price.
Good evening. I also came up here to thank you for the opportunity to expand my leadership skills, to give me the opportunity to be at Dogwood this year. It has been the most absolutely amazing experience. I often kid, I don't work at Dogwood, I work at Disneyland. I promise you I do. We do have the most amazing system, but without your leadership and providing the opportunities you do, we would not have the accolades that we do. I don't want to get hung up on scores. I think even with my teachers, I don't discuss scores. We talk about something they can get better at and something that they knocked out of the park that I want them to teach 5 more people about. Still today in the crowd, I feel distension. I feel people have come on a side. I'm here to support so-and-so, or I'm here to support so-and-so. That is not what's going to fix our district. We have got to be here for one thing only, and that is children. And this man right here, every decision he makes is based on what is best for children. And so I am glad to hear that you're going to revise the evaluation system, because for me, what his score is reflects on what I do. And I can tell you, my staff feels the same way. The evaluation that I get reflects on the job they did this year. And if I get scored poorly, they're gonna come to me and they're gonna say, what do I need to do differently? And although a 4.4 and a 4.2, that doesn't sound bad. But when you look deeper into those scores and you see where they really count, is that score even matter? No. Please give us an idea of something we can get better at and something that we need to shout from the rooftops that we did well. That's what I expect, and I hope that this board can come together and join this crowd so we're not here supporting anybody's side. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Next is Liz Diaz.
When you brought Ms. Woody and myself in your office 3 years back, 2.5 years back, and you said that you were going to apply for their superintendent job, you are such a man of integrity, because I'm on the downward side of my career. But what have you done? You inspired me to sit in that chair that you left. And you can't do that if you're not a fantastic leader and a fantastic person, and a person that only thinks about what's best for students day in and day out. We would never understand all the pieces of the puzzle that go in to make your decisions, but our job is just to support you, and that's what we're here to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Diaz. Next is Sam Shaw.
I am not a teacher, I'm a pastor.
and I have served the last 5 years as Jason and Melissa's pastor. I've lived in Germantown a total of 12 years. My sons were educated at Houston High School. I have watched Jason for 5 years. I've known of him for 18 years. I've watched him and his family serve diligently and selflessly in our church and in the community in a variety of responsibilities. He is both respected and loved by our church. Every staff member at our church holds him in the highest regard. For example, the following comes from Sean Chandler, who is pastor of student ministries at the Orchard Church. I am the student pastor for his 2 youngest kids. He serves as a small group leader for middle school boys at our church and has done so for a few years now. In all my time of knowing Jason, I've always found him a genuine and kind demeanor and selfless approach to life. He's as patient a man as I have known, and I respect him above most. I am confident there is no trace of self-directed decision-making in his leadership. It is in his nature to do what he believes is right and best for other people. He truly has the heart of a servant leader. He's willing to sacrifice himself for the betterment of the community. When I hire a staff member, I look for 3 things. I look for character, that is integrity. I look for competence, can they do the job? And I look for compatibility. Do they align with the vision and the mission and the values of our church? And so I simply want to say, Jason, if you get tired of what you're doing, please come serve as pastor, and I'll be your assistant pastor at the church.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Next, Betsy Spurlock.
It's always hard to follow Sam Shaw. We go back a long way. I think I first got to know you when we cut grass, and you were coaching the soccer team, and Mike and I cut the middle school field there north of the middle school gym, and you were cutting the soccer field. So we shared mowers, and so that was my first time to know you. And then as Katie cheered for 3 years at the middle school, I just got to know you and love you even more because you and Melissa both were such great leaders in our booster group. And so thank you for that. And then the summer that I realized there was going to be a transition at the middle school, and I realized you were going to be our principal, I was just like ecstatic because I thought so much of your character, and I was so excited that we would have you in leadership at our school. And from that time through now, it's just really been a privilege to have you as my boss, and I thank you for that. And so just a few things I just wanted to say, because I think a lot of the things that he did were they just really stood out. For instance, you were the principal that one day a child threw away their retainer, and you were back at the dumpster pulling the bags out to find the one that had the retainer, and you looked until you found it. And you were the principal that let us have field day. It doesn't sound like much, but it was huge because we hadn't been able to have that, and so that was fun. And then one day I had some boys that were outside at a lunch, and they were just having they were just being a little bit disruptive, and so you disciplined them. And then what I was so amazed at is that you turned around and you stayed out with the boys and you helped them pick up all the trash and all the mess they had made. And I just thought everything you did was just such a learning experience to see how you disciplined, but how you also loved and then guided them back in the way that would make them, be more successful. And I think that the one thing that I really wanted to add too is that I've told you even before that what you are is you're what I call a servant leader. And I think that is something that is so unique about you, because there is nothing that you ever ask of any of us that you personally wouldn't do. And you did way so much more. I mean, even like on the last day of school when the children were finishing up in the cafeteria, and you bought lunch for the cleaning crew, the ones who usually were picking up after all of our students, and you bought lunch and you had them sit down and you cleaned the tables and you cleaned the floor and you carried out the trash. And I think, when I look at that type of a leader, it's so impressive. I mean, it really was so I just feel blessed. I think that's what I really have to say. So for me, if anybody says anything or even marks you low, I can't help but say it's because they don't really know you, because to know you is to respect you, and I really, see what else I wanted to say here. I know y'all want me to quit, probably, but I just do. I feel so blessed. I know that you're really a special person. For me, as a Germantown resident and as an educator of nearly 40 years, having taught at University of Memphis and having taught at Germantown Elementary and then now at Houston Middle School, I just want to say, I feel like I'm really qualified to evaluate you because I know you, and you are a 5 in every way. And thank you for being our leader.
Thank you, Ms. Spurlock. Next is Gary Hahn.
Thank you. Well, as my kids would say, there's always a party pooper, so that would be me. I'm here to talk about a different topic and not a pleasant one. I'm here to address the photo that wound up in the middle school, not the high school, yearbook of 2 students dressed in Nazi uniforms. Although I think we can all agree that there were some serious mistakes and errors in judgment that led to this photo being printed in the yearbook, I honestly didn't feel the need to address the issue at a school board meeting until I saw the middle school and the school district response, which I found seriously lacking on a number of fronts and deeply disappointing. First, we got an email on May 3rd from the middle school principal explaining that this was a diversity exercise in conjunction with facing history and ourselves, and suggesting that perhaps those who were offended misunderstood the intent. I greatly appreciate that our schools embrace diversity, but the Facing History and Ourselves program never recommends role-playing exercises. This email threw what looks to be a very good organization under the bus, in my opinion. Role-playing with Nazi imagery was not their idea. In fact, my understanding is that they were mortified by the suggestion that they played a role in this. Then later that day, we received an email from the district apologizing, quote, to anyone who was offended by the insensitive image and offering a full refund of the cost of the yearbook. I'll be honest, that's when I was truly offended. This has nothing to do with getting a refund for the yearbook. That's insulting to me and probably to other people as well. As my sister-in-law said to me, apologize to anyone who was offended. Shouldn't that be everyone on the planet Earth? These were swastikas representing the Nazi Party. To me, this shows a deep-rooted lack of understanding of the problem here. The school project was normalizing these symbols of hate, desensitizing our community to what these symbols represent, and the email apologies further trivialize the entire incident. Rabbi Katie Bauman of Temple Israel, who wrote so eloquently in the commercial appeal last week about this issue, has asked some of us if there has been an update from the district. I don't believe there will ever be an update from the district, at least not a public one, because what I've seen again and again when mistakes are made at the district level is that everyone thinks they're under attack, close ranks, remind everyone that we're the best, and hope that the issue never comes up again. The mindset here has to change. Good people make mistakes. Good school districts make mistakes. But you have squandered a teachable moment here, not just for our students, but for district faculty, staff, and our entire community with a response that demonstrates to me that you truly don't understand that these symbols have real meaning and the use of them, no matter what the intent, sends the wrong message to everyone in the community. I expect more from our school district, and I hope that this board will strongly encourage the administration to follow through and report back in a public forum on the steps it took as a district to educate the entire school community and to prevent these kinds of things from happening, no matter how innocent or well-intended the school activity may have been. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn. Next is Susan Pennington.
Hi, forgive me, my voice is gone. I'm a first grade teacher at Farmington Elementary School. This is my 9th year as an educator, and I've been with GMSD since its inception. I could not be prouder of our community for creating a district of distinction and excellence. I actually grew up in Germantown and attended Farmington and Houston Middle, so I fully understand the rigorous quality of education that has always been the expectation in this community. I also want to express my deepest appreciation for our superintendent, our school board, and all of the district office for creating the most tremendous workplace. I can not even imagine the countless hours that you put in each day and night to ensure our schools have all the support that we need. And trust me, after working in some other districts, I realized that creating a positive work environment is not always the priority. I want to thank you for promoting the encouraging atmosphere in our district that makes going to work every day a little more fun, and not just because it's first grade. Next, I'd like to specifically thank Mr. Manuel for his leadership in building the environment of trust. You allow principals to lead and teachers to teach. Seeing him at various events in and around our schools is always a pleasure, as he greets everyone with his contagious smile and kind-hearted spirit. Our system's achievement of excellence did not happen by accident or because our leaders rested on their laurels. And I heard you use that term earlier. I thought that was interesting. Mr. Manuel has led our way to the top, and I fully support him and in the amazing job he is doing. I could go on all night about how wonderful this system is, but I know I have 3 minutes. And the joy it brings me to work here is astounding. But I will end with only one request. Please do not let the voice of a few people create an atmosphere of negativity in this bright place, especially in regards to our superintendent's performance review. As a teacher, I'm held to the same scoring system, and I realize the consequences if I had earned a 2 or a 1 and the embarrassment that I would feel. So I get it. It is obvious that the majority of those who work with Mr. Manuel on a daily basis or have known him through this system for just the past 3 years have an enormous amount of respect for him and the professional job to which he is extremely committed. Sometime soon, I think we would all like an explanation as to how these below expectation scores are justifiable, especially since all the evidence seems to argue against them. Let's not allow a couple of people's seemingly unfounded opinions overshadow the great things we are experiencing here in Germantown. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pennington. Next is Candace Plaisance.
Hi, I'm Candace Plaisance. I teach AP US History and AP European History at Houston High School. I also have 2 daughters at Farmington, and we are a GMSD family, and I support my superintendent. So many believe that it is the children that make up a school district. And yes, we have amazing kids, but students are students and kids are kids, and everywhere they are endless possibility. What makes GMSD so great is our fantastic administration and our fantastic leadership that continues to help us to grow. Mr. Manuel allows my fantastic principal, Mr. Cherry, and my children's wonderful principal, Mr. Prokosky, to do what they do best. And that it enables us to teach lessons, to engage our students, and to do everything that you as parents want us to do with our kids. So I'm gonna modify and adjust because that's what teachers do, and I don't wanna go back into the scores because I think that we've kind of established that things are gonna change next year, and I really hope that they do, and I hope there's a recognition that there is a support level here. But on a side note, just after getting to know your son this year, if I knew nothing else about you, I would know that you were kind, intelligent, hardworking, and driven, and I support you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sheila Hahn.
Good evening. I'm Sheila Hahn, and I just felt the need. I was not planning to speak this evening, but put my name in just in case, that I would feel the need. And I do, because I think there's been a mischaracterization that there are people here for one person and against another in one camp or another camp. And I think there's a mischaracterization or a false feeling people have that there are some board members who are against the administration and other ones who are not. And as someone who, knows many of the actors here, I can say that everyone is on the same side, just as other people have said. And I have actually enjoyed hearing a lot of things about Mr. Manuel that it's fun to hear what everyone has to say. But there's a subtext of an attack on the evaluation. And the evaluations were given very soon after the new board took their seats. Maybe there wasn't enough of a training on how to give them. But all I can say is the people I know on the board are not people who do things for political or personal differences. That, to me, was actually offensive and inappropriate. They are people who, when they make an evaluation, they do it based on their personal, not personal beliefs, but their professional evaluation of what's going on. I haven't even gotten into the numbers or spoken with anyone about the basis for them. That's between the person doing the evaluating and Mr. Manuel. And I hope that you do stay, and I know everyone loves you, and I think you're a wonderful superintendent. My husband was just up here, and I heard people behind me muttering, why is he talking about the Nazi symbols, and what a bunch of BS. And I guess Gary and I are kind of here always stirring the pot a little bit. But you know what? It's that diversity of opinions and people disagreeing that sharpens the tools. And if everyone agreed and everyone just said, okay, you guys, we're perfect, 5 out of 5, let's just go home, then we would, as Ms. Parker's fond of saying, they're all after us. They're on our backs. They see us as the gold standard. Well, to be the gold standard, we have to constantly be striving for more, striving for excellence. I know we're doing it, but that's all the board members want also, and there's no personal animus. I know that. And so I guess that's all I want to say. We love our district. We love the superintendent. We love our school board members. And if Mr. Haddow's mother is still listening, he is a perfect gentleman, and she did a fine job with him. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Next is Joy Phipps.
Hello, boss. I do agree with everything you just said. I totally do not like yes people. I want people to make us grow. And you know that I love many of you and your variety of opinions. But I do want you to hear a little bit from someone who has worked in this district my entire career of 16 years and just my thoughts about Mr. Manuel. So one of the reasons that I love working here is my boss, Mr. Manuel. He has inspired me as a teacher, and he trusted me as a teacher to teach Jake. His vision did help me to grow and continues to help me grow. He always reminds us to focus everything around the students and makes that our reason why we're doing this. And I know that's your reason for doing all this too. So we look to him in our district. He's our guide. And you've heard repeatedly, and it's on my paper too, that he is a servant leader. He really is. He'll do anything from sweeping a floor after a dance to delivering books and furniture. But sometimes that's easy to see. But we do have to remember that he's also a brilliant mind. He really is so smart. He is someone who I see as an engaged leader who grows so many other leaders under him. And we all know that he was a great choice for GMSD. And he's a great example of someone who is striving for excellence always. So we all do have areas to improve, I get it. But I do want us to remember that Mr. Manuel has many, many areas of excellence that we've got to recognize. So Mr. Manuel, I agree with Mr. Haddow that you are a golden thread and you do hold us all together. So good job, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phipps. Next is Aaron Henninger.
Thank you, Mr. Manuel and board. I put some notes together today, but I decided that rather than reading what I'd had time to think about, I'm going to read the email that I sent to Mr. Manuel just after the evaluations came out. Mr. Manuel, I wanted to take a minute to encourage you on the job you're doing. There's a lot of noise, as there always seems to be, over the evaluations. I'm sorry that your job makes something personal a public matter. I've tried to focus my communication here not on who said what, but rather on the positives and the future. Number one, you're the most passionate, hardworking, and caring leader we could have asked for. The strengths you bring to the district are the things that can't be learned or taught. Number two, a scoring system relative to expectations is deliberately subjective. The goalposts move because expectations vary and change, but if you are meeting and exceeding the high expectations of this community, you are doing a fantastic job. Number three, we're a young district with a lot to learn and master. The community understands this. We're growing and improving with you. Number four, parents lose their minds when their kids are involved, but we will help you with anything you need. And number five, when in doubt, refer back to number one. Thanks for all you do. Aaron Henninger. I want to add to this that all of these same things can be said about each of these 5 board members. There's a reason that we have 5 board members, and that is to get a diversity of opinion. And as I read down through the evaluation, 109 questions, easily half or not more of those questions required each of these board members to state an opinion about something. And opinions are meant to differ, and that's why we have 5 board members. We also elect these board members at large in our community because we want them to reflect the thoughts and cares and wishes of the people who go to the polls and vote for them. We just had an election in November, and the people who were elected out of a panel of very qualified people. They did not land here on Mars back in October with no knowledge of what goes on in the district. So I think it would be wise for us to take their opinions to heart and look for ways to improve. I think most of the people in this room have had evaluations done. They're not fun. We would all love to give 5s and receive 5s and have a pep rally and a parade and high fives afterwards. Unfortunately, we wouldn't learn anything about what needs to be done to improve as a district. So I want to commend each of the 5 board members for doing the hard work and putting yourselves out there and stating your opinions on matters of great importance to the community. So I want to thank everybody involved. And as Ms. Price said, there's no need to draw battle lines on any of these issues. We are all still a district together, and we come together whenever we need to in situations like this to continually improve. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Henninger. Next is Kim Johnson.
Hi, I'm Kim Johnson. I actually came to talk about something different, the orchestra. I was at the orchestra concert last Tuesday night, and I know some of the board members managed to attend. And as a parent, I was so moved, I just wanted to come and talk about it a little bit. As a parent, I was so impressed. I don't know if any of you in the board or the administration ever tried to play a string instrument, but that Mr. Short has gotten that many 5th graders in a school year, on once a week group lessons to play songs that we as adults can recognize, it's just short of a miracle. It's amazing. And Dr. Kang with the middle schoolers and the high schoolers, I just lost all my notes, that he gets these emotional, cohesive performances out of them. It's amazing. Both these teachers do an outstanding job, and we are blessed to have them. The program is a gem, and it's unique. Most of the private schools don't support an orchestra in any form, let alone one so big. Music programs like the GMSD Orchestra, it teaches kids teamwork and focus, and scientific research demonstrates it also helps them with learning across the board. Access to a quality orchestra program is one of the reasons we've kept our children at GMSD. And it was great to see the school district provide a recognition of the importance of the fine arts when they formally adopted the Fine Arts Academy. And what I'm hoping to see is additional support in the form of financial and facilities to support the program. A healthy music program is a gift to a school and its students, especially since they're mostly non-selective, so every student can participate. The program allows kids the abilities to participate. It encourages concentration, diligence, and teamwork. GMSD has dipped its toe into the pool of possibilities with the formation of the Fine Arts Academy, and I'm hoping that with the support with facilities and financial support, it's encouraged to grow and we can see what it can really become. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Next is Mike Palazzolo.
Thank you, school board, superintendent, cabinet members, members of the community. I'm here simply to say thank you on behalf of the city. I think I can safely speak for Alderman Yonda that we're very thankful for the district and the level of excellence you've brought in our school system. In my 40 years as a resident of this community, it's not hyperbole when I say the single greatest economic catalyst that we have was starting our own district 3 short years ago. We started from scratch, we built a district, and we did so with great grandparents, parents, students, teachers, faculty, booster organizations, a great district, a super school board, and a great superintendent. And we hope to continue that. It's a great partnership, and it's evidenced clearly by the mayor of Signal Mountain, Tennessee, who contacted us recently as they challenged the ability to start their own district. They're going to come here for a site visit with the city and with the district to see how we've created this unique partnership. And it is a unique partnership that's like no other in the state of Tennessee. When we built the Riverdale expansion, the city needed the help of the district and the district needed the help of the city. And Superintendent Manuel came up with some plans. They were aggressive at the time. Lisa Parker was the chairman of the school board, and we put the pencil to the paper and we made that expansion happen without raising taxes. And from what I understand, it's on time, on budget, maybe under budget. As you read the roll call of accomplishments this year in your superintendent's report, I will say that it kind of rings with the strong statement that our beloved Grizzly coach recently made. Take that for data. And I mean that only as a compliment. What a list of great accomplishments. And I'll tell you what, I know the superintendent well, and I work with him very well. We started an education work group a couple years ago. We meet quarterly with cabinet members and with department heads, and we work together to try to bring collaboration and cooperation between both organizations. I know the superintendent to be a great family man, and I will close with this pearl of wisdom, Mr. Superintendent. On Mother's Day, do not spend an hour and a half at the Steeplegate Homeowners Association giving a state of the district address and answering questions. Stay at home so you'll continue to be a family man. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone who came out and spoke tonight. We're going to get on with our board meeting.
Chairman.
Oh, yes.
May I have a moment?
Yes.
I have loved the Jason Manuel Love Fest. I have appreciated and soaked in and even shed a tear or two during this whole moment. But I personally have made my apologies to the superintendent for his evaluation. And I know that this board will make changes to next year's performance evaluation so that this humiliation never happens again. But I've had 2 weeks to process what this evaluation has done for our district. And the outpouring of support from the parents, the teachers, the staff, and even the students have been overwhelming. And there is and always has been no doubt that Mr. Manuel is one of the best superintendents, and I'm glad Mr. Aiken is gone, in the state of Tennessee, if not in the country. But we are blessed to have this man at the head of our district. But as we know, he is not perfect. And I truly believe that as a board and in our own ways, that is what we tried to express in this past evaluation, however flawed it was. But I would like to apologize to the voters who elected those of us into office. I do not think that what you voted for is what you have received. We have not acted as a board that is deserving of your confidence. We have not acted as a team, and I learned long ago that there is no I in team. But after the board retreat, where we had the evaluation and the board's self-evaluation, and we got to say a few things, off our chest and what we really wanted to say. I can say, and I truly believe, that this board is ready to come together and work as a team and leave the personal agendas and the politics behind. And we know that the way we are going, this district will succeed behind Mr. Manuel. We know that. We heard that. But with us, the board, it can be stronger than ever. And I am committed, and I hope I can count on you, ladies. Thank you.
I apologize. I skipped someone that was in the pile.
Oh,
I don't
darn
know if they're
it.
still here. I do apologize. Allison Randolph? Did she leave? I feel bad. I
She wanted to
apologize.
say she loved me.
I apologize. On with our board meeting. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight is the second reading of in-service and professional learning opportunities policy, procedure for granting tenure policy, and credit for prior courses policy. Also, the first reading of family life education policy, grading revision policy, testing program revision policy, and revenues, gifts, and bequests revision policy. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve all the items in the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Landers?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is passed. Next, under board action items, the first is a resolution for approval of donations. Do you have the notes in front of you? Thank you. Before we vote, this is to receive funds, $23,102.50 from Germantown Education Foundation, $16,000 from Houston Middle School PTA, $43,000 from the Farmington Elementary School PTA, and $30,000 from the Riverdale School PTA. So do I have a motion or a motion?
I move to approve the donations from Germantown Education Foundation, Houston Middle School PTA, Farmington Elementary PTA, and Riverdale Elementary PTA.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion?
I have one question.
Yes.
Was that $41,000 one fundraiser? You do work in Disneyland. That was $43,000 from Farmington? I'm sorry. Was that one fundraiser?
No.
Oh.
The whole year.
Oh, the whole year. Cool.
Any further discussion?
Chairman, I want to know who did the second?
Who made the second?
It was a tie.
Ms. Atai?
We'll give it to Mrs. Landers.
Ms. Landers,
Ms.
thank you.
Landers, please. Roll call?
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Landers?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you to our PTAs as well for raising all that money for our schools.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. Next on the agenda is the resolution for distribution of funds to school support organizations. These funds, just so everybody know, the board had funds this year to share with some of our support organizations to help them with some of their expenses. And this motion that's coming up is going to be using up the rest of our funds, so sorry for all the other support organizations that want to apply. This is for us to give $3,000 to the Riverdale School Cheer Boosters for the purchase of mats, $1,955.21 to the Houston High Cheer Boosters to cover their sponsors attending their events, $1,955.22 to the Houston Middle Band Boosters to help cover the expenses of their sponsors that have attended their events. So do I have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution to distribute funds, $3,000 to Riverdale School Cheer Boosters, $1,955.21 to Houston High Cheer Boosters, and $1,955.22 to Houston Middle Band Boosters.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes, I think we need to clarify that there was one other request that we did not address. The Riverdale School Orchestra Boosters requested racks for their cellos and their basses because otherwise they're leaving them on the floor and they could be stepped on. But Superintendent Manuel announced that they would be purchasing those from the district. So they will not get their racks. They will get the cello and bass racks, but that will be purchased by district funds.
Thank you, Ms. O, for bringing that up. Roll call?
Ms. Landers?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is passed. Next on our agenda is the approval of the ESY internship. Mr. Manuel, do you just want to explain that real quick so everybody knows what
Yes,
we're
I'll be
doing?
glad to. We have extended school year for special needs students who show signs that they might regress during the summer, and so we want to make sure that we're working with them on their skills. We had 11 budgeted positions for paraprofessionals. We would like to change how those are allocated. It's not additional funds for us, but we would like to hire special needs students from the high school level to actually help serve at our extended school year. So this is another example of how we're trying to employ our special needs students and be exemplars for what our city and community should do.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the ESY internship position for summer of 2017.
Second.
No. Who said that?
We'll give it to Amy.
We'll give it to Amy,
Okay.
Ms. O, this time.
Ms. Wolf?
I wanted to clarify, this is for one internship position or the potential of two?
Right now, I have one candidate that's interested in
Okay.
apply in the regular direction, and we felt this would best be met through an internship.
Okay, good, thank you.
I have the money for two.
If somebody happens to hear about this and maybe express interest. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Landers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is passed. Next on the agenda is the TML insurance renewal for workers' compensation, employees' liability, general liability, property liability, and student accident insurance. Mr. Manu, you want to give us a brief overview?
Sure, this is a renewal of our work to provide liability insurance for our district, whether we're talking about on-the-job injuries or damages to our facilities. This is our liability insurance, and we have budgeted for this amount for the district.
Thank you, Superintendent. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the TML insurance renewal for workers' compensation and employers' liability, general liability, property liability, and student accident insurance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Landers?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is passed. Next on the agenda is the Houston High Football Fieldhouse. Superintendent, do you want to give a brief overview for everybody?
Sure. What this group is asking for is the ability to go out and fundraise, to start working for really a total revamp of what's happening with our field house to provide services that are comparable to the districts that surround us. And I think this is another example of what makes our district great. The fact that we have parents who are going out there to work in the community, to work for us. And I can't thank the individuals, Mr. Perry, Mr. Stegall, Mr. Franklin. I know there are lots that I'm missing. I can't thank you for what you've done for us because this is what makes us special. You're going out there and striving for something to make us excellent. So I gladly accept your assistance, and I would encourage the board to do so also.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the Houston High Football Boosters to begin fundraising based on the fundraising plan presented to the board this evening for the Houston High Football Fieldhouse.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just think we need to make sure we're clear that this is only to open up the doors for fundraising by the football boosters and the HHAAF group. I'm sorry, that's a long
that's correct.
acronym. But
because
not-
this would be several steps for the district
Right.
because we're talking about, just like with all of our grants, we would also have to bring before the board accepting these funds once we get them.
Right.
And especially if we're talking about naming rights of building and facilities, those are other things that have to be approved by the board by policy. Same thing for we're building a building on our property. We're going to have the plans approved. All those steps that we would have to go through, we would make sure that we
So
do.
This is just the first step.
First
This is
step.
not a full-on, this is going to happen
That's
until we move forward from that point.
Well, and also I think to mention that there is an inclusion for a portion of this for the band as well. It is not just football, it's also about the community. It's about bringing all of the sports together as well as ensuring that the band is included as a part of this project.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Landers?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is passed. Next on the agenda is the GMSD General Fund 2017-18 budget. This is the second reading. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the GMSD General Fund fiscal year 2017-18 budget after the second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? I will say there's only one small change from the first reading, which was involved.
Yeah, just a change, excuse me, a change in accounting for technology equipment that's purchased for the classroom, moving from one department into 71,100.
But no adding of dollars.
No
That's correct.
additional dollars.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I just wanted that clear for everybody. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Landers?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is passed. Next on the agenda is the GMSD FY year 2017-18 federal capital, cafeteria, health insurance, and OPEB budgets. This is the first reading. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the GMSD fiscal year 2017-18 federal, capital, cafeteria, health insurance, and OPEB budgets after first reading.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I do want to thank Mr. Jones for all his work on the budget this past few months. Thank you for all your hard work.
Excellent work.
Roll call?
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms.
No.
Landers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tried to cut you off there. Motion is passed. Any new business? Announcements, Houston High School graduation is this Thursday night.
Yes.
Last day of school will be coming up on the 26th, and Our next board meeting was set for June 5th. We're going to have a discussion with the board on when we're going to have it, and we'll let the public know. Several people are on vacation, it turns out, on June 5th of the board, so we're going to reschedule, and we'll let everybody know. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you.